Glad you could join us. This is Morning Cafe. My name is Linda Alela. I am here a beautiful Thursday morning as we look forward to a great day ahead. I'm here to update you, entertain you, inform you. We have lots of stuff lined up for you, so make sure that you keep it right here, even as we kickstart the day on a very incredible note. It is wise that you're part and parcel of this program. Hashtag Morning Cafe at Linda_Alela TV 47KE. Let's get to hear what you have to say about what we'll be discussing and so much more. Keep us up to speed as to what is happening around you if you consider that newsworthy, and I'll gladly do the same from this particular end. My name is Linda Alela. This is Morning Cafe. As I have said, we'll be looking at the politics of the day. So much is culminating, the purge within the NASA coalition. We'll be looking at that, even as they say out Cleopas Malala. What does that mean, and what would it take to ensure that, there's some level of sanity even as they continue to forge the way forward in regards to the interest of the common mwananchi? The indifference between Kenya and Somalia growing even bigger. What could be informing this? What needs to be done to ensure that that aspect of integration is elevated or is spoken about even at a time when they try to, solve their indifferences that have been witnessed? I mean, that declaration by the CS for Interior that, the DAB should be closed down and Kakuma also should be closed down is something that is probably not going to rub a majority the good way, even as we look at about 500,000 people who will lose this particular place that they have called home. Where do they go? A question of wait and see. The aspect of by-elections, even as we're waiting for that one, that is in Garissa, that is in Bonchari, and also Juja. The question is just how best can this be handled? One, to ensure that we do not experience intolerance like what we witnessed in Kabuchai and the likes of Matungu, and importantly, how do we get these leaders that are going to come in and within the short period before the next general election, they are able to serve their people as expected. And so much so, we'll also be looking at the BBI tussle that now sits at the level of the houses, the Senate and the National Assembly. What way forward, even as this stalemate is looming, as to whether Parliament should be able to amend or make some level of changes in the bill as it is, or maybe they should go by what has been stipulated in the Constitution, that it is a popular initiative and therefore there is no need for them to proceed and make any amendments, despite the fact that they conducted public participation. This and much more lined up for you right here. Later on, we'll also be discussing matters housing, very important at a time when we keep talking about affordable housing. What can we do to ensure that indeed it is affordable for the middle class? Indeed, a question of wait and see. We'll be having a specialist who will take us through that, and later on we get to the gym. It's important that we keep fit, so make sure that you keep it right here. Lots of affairs lined up for you. An incredible show right from now and all the way to 9 a.m. What's in the papers? Let's take a look at that briefly. The first pages of the papers, that is the People Daily. Key issues in Parliament's BBI amendment tussle. That is one thing that we'll be discussing this morning. Criteria for choosing 70 new constituencies and the role of public participation among matters in contention. And so we'll be looking at that, get to hear what the panelists will say in regards to the same, even as, constitutional experts maintain that this should be left as it is. No amendments should be done. Senior Counsel Orengo, on the other hand, argues that no, there needs to be some level of participation that culminates from the level of the houses, because it would be unfair, it would be, pointless to even imagine or argue that Parliament should be ceremonial on this particular matter. Experts give grim COVID projections. Pretty much unfortunate an occurrence in the country. They call it the third phase that has come hitting so hard. So government mode projects about 13,700, that is about 10,616 new determined cases and new attributed deaths by 1st of 2021, that is 1st June of 2021. Worst case scenario would be an increase in months of July and November 2020 by 50%. That is resulting in an epidemic of similar magnitude to the second outbreak. That's pretty much unfortunate. And I mean, they argue that it's important that government is out there to ensure that people stay alert and maintain the guard. Researchers are warning that Kenyans should brace themselves for double the current infection and death rates in 4 months unless, as I have said, the authorities strictly enforce containment measures. A story captured on page 6. Where is the discipline? We keep asking ourselves just how many of us are out here to ensure that they maintain the guidelines as set by the World Health Organization, the Ministry of Health. It is a totally different scenario. We go to some places, well, matatus are filled up as usual. People do not have their masks on, and even if they do, some of them are wearing dirty ones. There's no social distance. There's so much that is probably lagging us behind in regards to ensuring that we're able to curb the spread. Well, matters education, it's all systems go as candidates brace for KCSE. A story captured on page 8, even as the KCPE curtains were closed down with a myriad of challenges, but equally a smooth process as it had been declared. And we can wish them nothing but the best. We'll be having our our education affairs reporters following up on this. Sharon Baranga and Dwayne Kilemi, they will always be keeping you up to tabs in regards to how the processes will go on at the level of KCSE. And that's a story captured on page 7 extensively. Away from it, cardinals, priests get pay cut at Vatican says, and Pope states the church expects a reduction in revenue of up to about 5 billion shillings as fallout from the pandemic continues to weigh on the budget. Yes, the pandemic has weighed in heavy across different sectors, and such probably was expected. Magufuli's birthplace of Mwanza pays last respect. New security rules for mourners as Tanzania prepares to lay to rest fallen president in Chato. That is a proceeding that will play out tomorrow. And we'll be here to keep you up to tabs and to take you through that particular or historic process. Well, hundreds and thousands of residents turned up to view his body. Some have lost their lives in the process. But then again, we say, well, even as they do that, it's important that they take caution, just trying to say kwaheri to the gallant son of Africa. On the other hand, Obama recounts his life growing without a father figure around. Former U.S. President Barack Obama has revisited his relationship, that is, with his father Hussein Obama Sr., and how it impacted his future life, and so much so. An interesting read. You can as well grab a copy and get to see what has been captured on the same. Let's look at what is on the front page of the Daily Nation. Here we are. Russian vaccine row raises safety concerns. Here we are. Two critical health ministry agencies clueless as it emerges that Sputnik V, that is the vaccine, the Russian-made vaccine, is already available in some private hospitals in Kenya, which was set to start administering it today at 8,000 a dose. That's an interesting one right here. It's not in the market because we are still developing the guidelines, which must be met before it's finally authorized by usage. Who is telling us the truth? That is the question at hand, and whom should we believe? Even as at some point in time, the government or the Pharmacy and Poisons Board approved the emergency use of this particular vaccine in the country, arguing that the Ministry of Health, though, has the mandate to probably tell us whether we should proceed to do so or not. So the guidelines for distribution still under development, and so we'll be looking at that, following up on the same. Zainab Mohammed will be there with the details to make sure that you are up to tabs on what it is that the Ministry of Health will declare as to the same. That is the biggest story. But to these other stories, Magoha's watch list on exam cheating, 30 schools are placed under close watch. That's a story captured on page 6. Remember, he gave out a stern warning saying that those who will be culpable of this In the first place, he said actually it will not be entertained, and so they should be woke because, well, the Ministry of Education has put them on the radar to make sure that such is not going to be the occurrence, because they have already received reports in regards to this, reports as damning as university students being used or being paid to come and sit for examinations for certain individuals. And UK farm strikes gold in Kakamega farm, says it has hit high grade intersections at Isulu. A story captured on page 10, as we would say. Africa is full of resources, but just how instrumental are these resources towards transforming the lives of us all? Well, something that we always say, even with the black gold that is in the oil that was discovered in Turkana, still the livelihoods of the people around Turkana and the country at large, is at a point where you need to question, because then clearly nothing much happens in terms of, making the best of these resources and making sure that monies that come out of this are able to make the lives of the individuals better. Raila Party rocks Uhuru coalition's plan, and just when a loose coalition of leaders of major parties was beginning to concretize, ODM lawmakers voted to remove a key ally of ANC Chief Musalia Mudavadi from the Senate Deputy Minority Leader position, accusing him of disloyalty to Mr. Odinga. We'll be looking at that later on. What does this, crackdown mean? Are they borrowing a leaf from the likes of Jubilee? Does it really rock the plan of President Uhuru Kenyatta, even as he speaks of a coalition? Remember, of late they have been meeting as party leaders, Right Honorable Raila Odinga, President Uhuru Kenyatta, Gideon Moi, the likes of Musalia Mudavadi, and also Ford Kenya party leader, that is Moses Wetangula, and Charity Ngilu. So much so, probably trying to speak or to foresee a scenario where after the BBI campaigns or the referendum, then they can set up a coalition to work together as a team. What does it mean? Will it rub well with the likes of Musalia Mudavadi? A question of wait and see. On the other hand, bitter fight for slots in UDA party. Well, Deputy President William Ruto, who is associated with the party, met members of parliament to discuss the June elections and how they get to sustain the Hustler Nation campaign in the face of the pandemic. In Nakuru, two factions are fighting. Fighting over what? How do they get to secure themselves, membership, and importantly, getting themselves nominated in some of these crucial positions, even as they brace themselves for 2022. Mombasa's empty ICU beds. Even as we're being told that, well, the ICU beds are full, this is a different story altogether. As COVID-19 patients scramble for unavailable beds in intensive care units across the country, in Mombasa, the facilities remain almost empty. By Saturday, only 8 patients had been admitted on oxygen support. That is at the county's less than about 30 ICU beds at the Coast General Teaching and Referral Hospital. Only 2 patients had been admitted to the ICU. That is, Pandya Hospital has 5, while Aga Khan University Hospital had 1. A story captured on page 10. Well, I don't know whether that is good news or bad news, so to speak, when you know very well that it has been a tough one, even as we're trying to deal with COVID-19 in the country. So, well, this will be getting details of the same as we proceed. That is on page 10, and we'll look at such later on the broadcast alongside my panelists. Like I said, so much outlined for you this morning. Briefly, let's look at what is happening on the roads. Whether there's much in terms of traffic and where exactly you find this traffic. You realize that, yes, today it looks like there's some spots of traffic across the different parts of Nairobi. The first that my eye can fall or can land on is this one on this side of Thika Road, yes. And Thika Road, as always, will have traffic. So here we are. Let's go down and see from Githurai how it looks like. This is Githurai, and going all the way down as you find yourself to the city, some tenets of traffic are along Roysambo. As you can see there, some tenets of traffic here, and going down some level of traffic again, but it's not as bad as we are used to, and going all the way down to this bit of a drive-in. So that is to tell you, it's not even looking messy around Garden City, as always been the case. And proceeding down to Mathare Mental Hospital, now that's when there's some level of traffic, somewhere around Utalii College, and going down to Muthaiga and all the way to Pangani Apartments. Well, maybe this deaths are occasioned by, that connection from different roads, Muthaiga, from Kiambu Road, from these other sides of Limuru Road, and they get to connect as they try to get themselves into the city. So around Pangani Place, apartments, you find that it's a bit heavy, but then you can find your way into the city. Away from it, another one that falls right next to me is this one on Jogoo Road. Let's see how Jogoo Road looks like. As always, from this bit of Donholm Railway, coming down, not much of traffic until you get somewhere around Makadara. That is where you start now experiencing the traffic, and down to Mbotela, and down to these sides where you get next to the roundabout, City Stadium, and then you find that there's some tendency of traffic around there as you get to connect to these other directions. I connect to Lusaka Road. Lusaka Road doesn't look bad this morning, apart from this bit here where you find some tendency of traffic, but it's not bad even as you get to connect to Mombasa Road, that is at the Nyayo National Stadium roundabout. And that means then let's follow ourselves down to Mombasa Road and see how it looks like. On this other hand, Bunyala Road is not as bad as you can see, even as it comes to connect on this other side. Yes, Langata Road, there's some level of roadwork somewhere there, but equally the traffic is not there at all. This is Langata Road, so evidently no need and worry or cause for alarm. Even with Langata Road, you come to connect to the Southern Bypass. Evidently the Southern Bypass not looking bad as you now fall on Mombasa Road. Let's go down and see what Mombasa Road looks like. Yes, somewhere around Imara Daima, you will always find traffic right from Cabanas as you get to connect from the airport road, which actually is not trafficked up. And here you are down to Embakasi to Mombasa Road. So Mombasa Road, yes, is a bit jammed up. All the way from this upper bit going to Cabanas, you can see there's traffic, and then Imara Daima, some level of roadworks that is happening down here. But yes, the traffic is on and down. Even before we proceed down, you can see that there's Enterprise Road on this other side, which doesn't look so bad. That is Enterprise Road, industrial areas, you get yourself there. Enterprise Road on this side coming from Mombasa Road is not bad, even as you come to connect to the likes of Lunga Lunga, Likoni Road. Yes, the Enterprise Road is not looking bad. Back to the to Mombasa Road, down again, not much of traffic until you get to this sides of Southway, and all the way to the Nyayo National Stadium roundabout is where you find some tendency of traffic, but then it eases up. But down there, as I had said earlier on, you realize that Mbagathi is not bad. And then bringing us to Ngong Road, yes, from what bit of Ngong Road all the way down, so much so not in regards to traffic. I mean, there's nothing much that would cause you alarm or would cause you worry. And some tendency of traffic around here as you get to connect to Ring Road Kilimani, but it eases up all the way as you get yourself to the city. The likes of Valley Road, pretty much of an ease. Agwins Kodhek, not so bad this morning. Oloitoktok, Kikambala, and even following us on Gitanga Road is also not looking bad this morning. As you can see, sometimes you expect so much traffic around Kawangware there, that is on Gitanga Road, but is not so bad this morning. Taking us to James Gishuru down or up. So here you are at the Lavington Mall, pretty much of an ease, even as you come to connect to Waiyaki Way. Waiyaki Way is equally not looking so bad. Some level of roadworks here. Sometimes when you see roadworks, you know that there are likelihoods that traffic would be there. So if you're taking that road, the earlier you step out, the better. Yes, Waiyaki Road is not looking so bad. This is around the ABC place. And Tuna Road, not so bad. Spring Valley, and coming all the way down to Parklands, Westlands, this area, not so much of traffic, of course, cause for alarm around Gara West and so much. So here you are. I think there's nothing much then. Kiambu Road is also an ease this morning. There's really no cause for alarm around the roads this morning. So anything that is there, I'll be here to make sure that you are updated accordingly. And we leave it at that. Now let's take a look at what my team has prepared. And is this story that I had touched on, or I had mentioned earlier on. The Pharmacy and Poisons Board has approved the emergency use of Russia-based Sputnik vaccine in Kenya. This is according to the Ministry of Health. The now says 2 more vaccine manufacturers have applied for emergency use of their products, that is in the country, as the government looks to expand the range of COVID-19 vaccines in the country, as Zainab Mohammed tells us.
As the COVID-19 vaccination exercise in the country continues to move at a snail's pace due to hesitancy among Kenyans. The government, through the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, has announced the approval of the entry of yet another COVID-19 vaccine, this time from Russia. According to the Ministry of Health, the vaccine that is reported to have already arrived in the country has only been approved for emergency use.
We have reports about the arrival of the Russian Sputnik 5 vaccines in the country. We also know a technical agreement stipulating the responsibilities of all parties involved in the distribution is yet to be submitted to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board, which means that the vaccine has therefore not received all the necessary regulatory approvals for use in the country.
The ministry dismissing claims of existing adverts by certain private hospitals for the sale of the Sputnik vaccine, saying no hospital or pharmacy in the country is allowed to sell the vaccine just yet. The ministry insisting it will be applying stringent measures in matters distribution, sale and even batch numbers of the Sputnik vaccine once it reaches that stage.
Seen those adverts are false. There's no current pharmacy or hospital in the country that has a Sputnik 5 vaccine with them. And through the emergency market authorization, it is actually illegal for a facility to advertise and to say that it has that commodity.
The Russia-based Sputnik vaccine has been approved in over 68 countries across the world and is reported to have an efficacy of about 92%. As at now, a total of 64,100 essential persons have received the AstraZeneca vaccine, with a new vaccine expected to be distributed to the private sector for sale to those interested in the jab. Meanwhile, the National Assembly Committee on Health visited the Kitengela vaccine depot to investigate claims that some Ministry of Health top officials are colluding with private hospitals to get the vaccine at a price. However, after the visit, the committee dismissed the claims, saying the depot is secure.
There were a few issues that we wanted to find out, that they were concerned that these vaccines are being sold. And so from the team, and I know the management, they were going to talk about it. They are not there, and we would urge the public, if they know any the vaccine, we would like to know, because the vaccine comes free to the country and also supposed to go free to Kenyans.
Zainab Mohammed, TV47.
Thank you, Zainab, for that report. Now, our Education Cabinet Secretary, Professor George Magoha, has warned those planning to cheat in the KCSE examinations set to begin this week that legal action will be taken against them if court. Magoha says the ministry has received information of the plans. Some schools had to hire university students to sit for the exam on behalf of some candidates. Meanwhile, Class 8 candidates completed their KCPE exams, and our Senior Education Affairs reporter, Sharon Baranga, has that report.
Form 4 candidates are in the last-minute preparations ahead of starting their KCSE examinations on Friday this week. Tomorrow they will have rehearsals, but even before the exams kick off, already Education Cabinet Secretary says they have received information of plans to cheat in the exams.
But as we go to the KCSE examination, we are following up quite a number of cheeky center managers together with their collaborators. And I would have this to say that the integrity of the examination shall be protected at any cost. So if you think that you are bold enough, whether you are from Homa Bay or from Migori or from Isebania or even from Kisii, my warning to you is that you stop confusing our children. We are not scaring the children, we are protecting them.
Magoha says some examination centers have hired university students to sit for the exams on behalf of some candidates.
We are watching you. They think they are very advanced because they may even have interfered with the photographs. But it shall not happen under our guard.
In In the meantime, the 2020 Class 8 candidates wrote their last paper today. The 3-day exams was not marred by irregularities, but there were a few issues that were taken care of swiftly.
We had a case in Nyamira Borabu where 8 learners were not registered. And we made sure that a week earlier they were registered. I was there on Monday personally, and I found those learners sitting exam. They were starting a little late because we collect extra papers from all the schools and bring to them, but I talked to them and they looked very fine.
Those children took their exams and their rights will be preserved as the exam is marked, as the multi-agencies continue to follow the crooked managers of the so-called private school.
Parents have been urged to support the 100% transition policy by ensuring all pupils who sat this year's KCPE join secondary school in July after their results are released.
The government pays free secondary education fees for all the children who go to secondary school. 3 day secondary fees, and that is 22,420.
They have fought a very gallant fight, and like I had said, we as a government shall remember as we complete their marking in 1 or 2 weeks' time that they were out of school for such a long time. And there is nothing a child has to worry about. For the ones who are yet to start taking their exams, just come and give us what you have. It is going to be good enough for us.
Form 4 candidates will take approximately a month to complete their KCSE examinations. Sharon Baranga, TV 47.
Here we are, and from that story by Sharon, President Uhuru Kenyatta has met coastal region governors Hassan Joho of Mombasa, Amason Kingi of Kilifi, and Kwale Salim Vuria in a state house, that is in State House, Nairobi. Now the move seen as aimed at solidifying the coast region's support, and coming on a day where Deputy President William Ruto also met members of parliament from the region. DP Ruto's allies are now accusing the president of trying to weaken ODM in the region. Vuria has been Ruto's point man at the coast. Kilifi's Kingi has been spearheading a united political party for the region set to be launched this year. Well, the committee that was formed to iron out outstanding issues on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 is set to kick off its sitting today. Members of Parliament are yet to agree on the allocation on 70 extra constituencies, as well as whether the House can amend the bill or not. Elizabeth Mutuko with that report.
The subcommittee that was formed to look into the current standoff on the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020 is set to start its sitting Thursday to iron out outstanding issues.
As chair of Legal Affairs, Justice, Legal Affairs, Human Rights Committee, I must ensure that this process is in conformity with the Constitution of Kenya 2010. We owe it to the public, we owe it to the people of Kenya, we owe it to the future generations that we do this process the right way. And I say this is historic. This is the very first time that the National Assembly and the Senate is midwifing a process to amend the Constitution through a popular initiative under Article 257.
Lawmakers within the committee are said to disagree on, among others, the allocation of the 70 extra constituencies to 29 counties. IEBC last week told the Joint Committee that it's the only body mandated by the Constitution to do boundary delimitation. At the time, the BBI task force had already allocated the units.
But in my view, Parliament is not a voting machine. Parliament is accountable to the people. So when there's an issue before it, the people will want to hear what Parliament says about it. But you would know, as a matter of fact, that the BBI process is supported and the NASA coalition is supporting the process.
Another standoff is on whether the House can amend the bill or just play ceremonial role as it stands in the current constitution. It's a matter that raised mixed reaction among lawyers during the public participation exercise. According to the Kenya Law Reform Commission, Parliament can only amend typos in the bill but not substance of the bill. The Commission argues that the bill, by a popular initiative, means that Parliament cannot go to the substance. However, the Commission argues that if the House finds some little disharmony which does not go to the root of the substance, then it can make adjustments to ensure the voice of the people is heard.
Determination in terms of the issues that were brought before the House. We must answer those questions. We must answer those questions. Like when the Kenya National Bureau of Standards, which is a statutory body, comes and addresses Parliament, we cannot take that for nothing. They require an answer. We didn't create that body, or the IIBC brings issues before Parliament, or the Kenya Law Reform Commission. But the way this, you heard it, the person who drafted this amendment bill came and gave views. Yeah, now go and look at what he said, instead of asking me. And he thought Parliament has a role.
If Parliament did not have a role, why does 257 say that once it's passed through the National Assembly, it will be introduced to Parliament? Why does 257 say Parliament will either pass or reject? Is it in vain? Ask yourself. Why does it need to come to Parliament under 257 if Parliament has got no role? The Constitution could have said once the county assemblies are done, it goes to the President for assent, or it goes to IBC for referendum. Read the Constitution, 257. Is it in vain? Why was it put that it will come to Parliament? Why does Article 118 say that in all our legislative work, we must involve the public? Why?
The House is set to debate the bill next month after the Joint Committee requested for more time. The standoff witnessed in Parliament is threatening to derail the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, with hope that President Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga are going to intervene. Elizabeth Mutuku, TV 47 Palm Buildings, Nairobi.
Still on politics, Kakamega Senator Cleophas Malala has been ejected as the Senate Deputy Minority Leader following a NASA parliamentary group meeting that had been convened by Senate Minority Leader, that is James Orengo, to discuss the fate of the ANC party. Malala's removal has, however, been faulted by former Senate Minority Leader, that is Bungoma Senator Moses Wetangula, insisting that this could have been informed by or directly linked by the Matungu by-elections. Let's take a look at that.
It considers the move a hostile action from ODM, the party claiming that the move might have been occasioned by the recent Matungu by-election in which ODM lost to ANC. Ford Kenya party boss Moses Wetangula also condemned the move, saying it's against the NASA agreement and that it has a direct link to the Matungu by-election. Lurambi MP Titus Hamala has regretted the move, saying Malala will rise up while his nominated counterpart Godfrey Osodhi, saying every leader should be given a fair hearing.
Tumeona wametoa senator wangu wa Kakamega Cleophas Malala, na mimi ninasimama hapa kama mbunge wa Senator Malala. Malala is my voter katika constituency yangu ya Lurambi. Mimi ningependa kusema kwamba tulipoingia katika NASA, tuliingia kama equal partners. Lakini vile mambo imeendelea, ndio tumeona kwamba kuna wengine walikuwa wakukula mabaki, wakungojea chini ya meza vile vitaanguka. Chenye mimi naambia Cleophas Malala, ajipe moyo, is a young person. Na wacha nikwambie, future ya Kenya haiko ndani ya watu wa miaka 50 kama mimi kwenda mbele. Future ya Kenya iko kwa vijana kama Malala. Hawa ndio vijana ambao kuanzia 2022 nitakana wawe katika nafasi bora za kuondoa ufisadi, kupigana na ukabila na kuweka Kenya mahali pazuri.
The party, in this case ANC, and particularly selected members of the party, led by Barack Muluka, did not follow the due process, and that the decision they took to expel me and even seek my removal from parliament was not within the constitution of the party.
Their concerns come a few hours after Senator James Orengo announced Malala's ouster, replacing him with Kilifi Senator Stewart Mazayo.
We have had a meeting this morning of the NASA coalition. The invitations went out through the office of the whip, and we didn't meet from 8 o'clock. We met from 9 o'clock.
This comes as NASA coalition parties, ANC, Ford Kenya and Wiper, are seen to be working with the possible coalition. Daniel Masiza, TV46.
And contrary to reports earlier, the Jubilee Party will once again put its political strength into test after it unveiled candidates for the forthcoming Bonchari, Juja and Garissa by-elections. The unveiling was attended by a section of UDA allies, as Joash Ansari tells us.
The Jubilee Party unveiled its candidates in various by-elections slated for May this year. During the unveiling, section of UDA promised to drum up support for Jubilee candidates for Garissa's senatorial race, as well as Juja and Bonchari parliamentary seats.
We are very delighted to be able to unveil to you our candidates.
Despite our political differences, despite our clan differences, despite our religious orientation, we have agreed the best we could do for the late Senator Haji.
John Opore will flag the Jubilee ticket in Bonchari, facing Pavel Oimeke, who was given a direct ticket by ODM. Jubilee Vice Chair David Murathe says the move by the party to face ODM was informed by the fact that the seat was not held by ODM and there it's up for grab. UDA is however not fielding a candidate.
Wale wamesimamishwa, wengine wanauliza ni kwa nini tunapingana na ODM na tuko na handshake. Mujue kwamba hiyo kiti haikuwa ya ODM. Sawa sawa.
Susan Waititu, the spouse to the late Francis Waititu in Juja, will flag the Jubilee ticket in Juja, with the party claiming to be in talks with other candidates to withdraw from the race. Gatundu South MP Moses Kuria's People's Empowerment Party is fielding George Koimburi in the race.
Hata Juja tutajaribu kuongelesha wale wengine, tuone kama mama ataingia pia anopost.
Abdul Mohamed Haji, son to the late Yusuf Haji, was issued his nomination certificate to vie for Garissa senatorial seat. The three will submit their nomination certificates to IEBC next week.
Very unique to us. We have joined and we have talked as leaders here, and we have agreed that we wish to bring to the Senate Mr. Abdul unopposed. And I would like to thank all the candidates. I think 3 have shown interest. All the 3 have pulled out. We are not aware of any other, but if any other comes, we are going to talk to them. We want to show that unity in respect of Mr. Haji, so that Abdul can become our senator for the remaining period.
DP Ruto's UDA has in the recent past been said to be backing off in the by-elections after losing in Matungu, Kabuchai and Machakos recently.
Na safari hii mpya ambayo tumeanza, mtaona tukileta wafuasi wetu pamoja. Nashukuru leo kwa sababu namuona Duale hapa mbele anazungumza na amesema kwamba yeye ni kati ambao walifufua na walianzisha chama hiki. Na nataka kusema kwamba tusiwache mwana akafinywa ama akalala njaa. Kwa hivyo namkaribisha Duale na mwambia safari hii tusafiri pamoja. Ni safi sana.
Jubilee Party fielding candidates in various by-elections slated for May, and UDA Party, an affiliate party of the Deputy President William Ruto, pulling out from the race is a clear indication Jubilee Party has dominance across the country. Joash Onsare, TV47, Nairobi.
Well, the last three stories form the basis of our conversation this morning, and we'll start with that very one that Joash has reported on. And joining me for this conversation, Member of Parliament Mwala, Vincent Musyoka, and the Secretary General for Third Way Alliance, Fred Okango. Gentlemen, karibuni sana. Mheshimiwa, I specifically played that last so that at least we'd hear what it is that Joash finishes by saying. He says that it is evident that Jubilee enjoys the support as opposed to UDA across the country. And we'd love to speak on matters by-elections. First, you tell us what played out in, that is in Machakos County, the senatorial by-elections, and a couple of by-elections that have been held prior, even as we look forward to these ones, that is in Garissa, Bonchari, and Juja constituency.
Thank you, Linda. It is interesting when people are rushing to make conclusions based on the recent by-elections. And interestingly so, because the first thing you need to ask yourself is where were these by-elections held? Because there's nothing new in a by-election happening in Machakos.
Right.
We have another principle there. It's a backyard of Kalonzo. They had the by-elections that UDA lost were also happening in the backyard of the NASA principles. I think if Linda, as a man, I caused my wife to be pregnant,
right?
I don't rush quickly to claim that the other men are impotent.
Okay.
Because remember, the by-election while there is a lot of issues to be discussed around the by-election in Machakos, for instance, we also need to understand that the dominance of Wiper party in Ukambani, and also look at
we also acknowledge the dominance of the likes of former Senator Johnston Muthama. We acknowledge the game of numbers in this case, but UDA still had the confidence to proceed and register their interest. I mean, you were not privy to this information while registering your interest, or what was the ultimate expectation?
Like I said, Linda, there are issues around this by-election, but I wanted from the very beginning to understand that it will be unfair for Wiper to rush into taking bottles of wine for winning a seat in its own backyard. But while that's said, look at the sequence of events right before the elections. We had Governor Mutua literally being forced to withdraw his candidate. He was summoned to State House. After that, you saw what happened.
Which he did not eventually. We had the candidate on the ballot.
Yes, but withdraw the candidate. The ballot papers are normally already printed.
Yes.
It doesn't mean that the name is not going to appear.
Yes.
But literally he withdrew his candidate.
Okay.
Of course, I would imagine because of pressure from State House or so, because he was summoned to State House. And in his own speech, what he said is that he doesn't want, or they don't want parties like UDA to win in Machakos.
Yeah.
Then you'd want to ask yourself, if their own intelligence didn't indicate that UDA was winning in Machakos, then why go ahead and withdraw their candidate?
All right.
At the same time, why even go to single out UDA party as the party they are trying to block from winning? Again, look at it this way. I want to congratulate, I want to be on record to congratulate the Wiper candidate, because I do not belong to the school of thought that claims elections are stolen all the time and refuse to accept results. But I also want to look at the reality of the election itself. The Wiper senator is going to be representing people in an election which only 15% of the people stand out to vote for her. And you'd want to ask yourself, Machakos County has 630 registered voters, 100,000 voters stand out to vote.
Okay.
Where are these other 500,000 voters, and how do we run quickly to conclude that these are not sympathizers of UDA party. Of course,
I mean,
coming from the background.
why did UDA fall short of trying to, you know, just getting their sympathizers, so to speak, or their supporters to come out and vote? One would ask that then.
Yeah, it's very clear because you see, once the withdrawal of Honorable Kachuku, and of course announced by Governor Mutua, came with a lot of issues in this by-election, because there was an attempt by people thought the extent to which the state wants to manage this or micromanage this election is almost going to be in vain to participate in that election. If you ask many of the people who didn't vote, they will tell you why participate in an election.
Is it so?
Yes,
let's loop in Fred. Let's loop in Fred.
Yes.
Much as this is water under the bridge, Fred, and I don't know why we're always here with you discussing by-elections. I mean, it is only fair that we probably look at what has happened in the past to shape what is likely to happen in the future, or what is to happen in the future. I mean, do you suppose the statements by Mheshimiwa here, who's more of a UDA member, so to speak, as opposed to a Jubilee member or a Wiper member, then the statements are justified? I mean, in regards to showing just how a candidate emerged the winner and how they lost?
Thank you, Linda. First of all, as a politician, I'll tell you, in every election, we must give a justification for the outcome.
Okay.
So that's okay. Number two, the recent elections have been very interesting.
You fielded a candidate there?
We fielded a candidates in Machakos,
yes,
who withdrew earlier. We fielded a candidate in Garissa. We are told this morning that the candidate is likely to withdraw.
Why? Why is this? Because what it is it because what it says?
London Ward,
okay.
The candidate withdrew, and that's what I'm saying. The stakes in these by-elections are very high. But the voter turnout is also very low.
Yeah.
So you ask yourself, the interest that some of the people have is immense to an extent that it bothers some of us as leaders in political parties.
Okay.
But be that as it may, there is something that is very clear, is that these by-elections are used as curtain raisers for 2022. And you can see people marking territories. Unfortunately, majority of our parties are formed on the basis of regional or ethnic backgrounds against the provisions of Political Parties Act. It is unfortunate. And for some of our parties that are national and are not having those regional backing, we find it very difficult to deal with the regional and ethnic mobilization when we present a candidate and people start looking at this is not a candidate for this region, or this person cannot be voted from this region because he or she doesn't belong to the party of the region. It's unfortunate, but I think Kenya is a growing democracy and we shall progress. What I want to say, Linda, is that if you looked at Matungu by-election, Kabuchai, Machakos, London Ward, Kiamakoma, if you look at all those by-elections, for the first time we saw by-elections with low voter turnout and high-stake by-elections where allegations of voter bribery and fights actually started from Sambweni.
Yes.
So that tells you that for some of the participants in these by-elections, it was a do or die. But for some of the participants, like UDA, for example, it was an entry point to test their strength.
Okay.
So that is politics. And that's why when a political party loses in a by-election, then they can easily say that we lost, but you know what? We are coming for you next time.
Okay.
But it is also important to note that it is dangerous to gauge the popularity of a candidate or of a party in a by-election that is happening 15 months to another election.
Okay.
And with a voter turnout of 15%. While I congratulate all the winners in these by-elections, I am afraid that it might not be the true picture of what will happen in 2022. There are parties like ours that are planning to come back in a big way and upset all this, because Kenyans are awake. Kenyans have realized that, by the way, the dominant parties are not doing them justice when it comes to service delivery after winning elections. And therefore, they shall be going for parties with ideologies, like Third Way Alliance Kenya. They shall be going for parties that they believe in, parties that they can access, not parties that are used as vehicles, and then now, after getting into power, now they start fighting and disintegrating. We, as Kenyans, are saying, we must now look at political parties and vote in individuals from political parties that stand for something, not that stand for some people.
All right, well, this is an interesting one. As we close on this one, I mean, the expectations, the stakes are high. Equally, UDA declaring that they're not going to field candidates in certain particular regions. Why is it so? Having come with so much, momentum in trying to gauge your strength at close, many have argued that, well, it was more or less like the rise and fall within no time. Do you suppose it's a fall or it's a lesson learned? And what will be the strategy come 2022, sorry.
The decision by UDA not to field candidates in certain areas really is not informed by the loss or win in the recent by-elections. If you ask me, as UDA, we did very well in Machakos and the other areas.
The argument is that your candidate, at some point has garnered more votes than what he actually garnered. Well, this informed by the apathy of, voter apathy?
No, just trying to run away from the Machakos issue.
Yes.
From Machakos issue, I'm just trying to say that most of the voters said they are not going to participate in a futile exercise. Most of the voters say that the state had already shown indication that by whatever means, they were not going to lose this. There was mobilization through chiefs, voter bribery, heavy presence of the police, to the extent that it was even a scary exercise for people to participate freely. Participate freely in this election.
Mheshimiwa, let's get ourselves back to 2013, 2017, when the likes of ODM was speaking of the fact that, there's a lot of state interference with the incumbent, and therefore it was necessary for them to set up, their own style of guarding the vote, wakihesabu, tunahesabu, and all this. So the state will still be there come 2022. I mean, what do you suppose then the parties like Third Way Alliance, your party UDA, would probably do or should do to ensure that they guard the vote?
It's not going to be easy to do that in a general election. As my colleague here said, by-elections should be treated very differently from a general election. If you came to Machakos and saw what was happening there is no way the state is going to afford over 4,000 police officers in Machakos alone during the general election.
Okay.
So in some of the stations, I had more policemen than the voters.
Okay.
And I doubt the state is going to be able to afford such kind of machinery during a general election. So I think the public, which is already tired of this state, and in one way or the other, I think the voter apathy was was like a walkout from the state based on what has currently been happening. Okay. And I think it's just a matter of time. 2022 is just around the corner. I think a bigger statement is going to be seen in 2022, because in as much as the state would want to use its machinery to make voters vote in a particular way, then unfortunately that kind of machinery is not going to be available at their disposal, because every other policeman will be required in every other part of this country. That's why you see during general elections, we even have some stations without policemen. They go ahead, even deploy the NYS guys to be able to assist. But I was also talking about UDA and fielding of candidates in these current other by-elections.
Yes.
I was saying that it is not necessarily because of what has happened in the other by-elections, but look at, for instance, Juja. There is a reason why, particularly, we are not fielding a candidate in Juja, because, and also Garissa.
Right.
Because these people happen to also have been people we have worked very closely with, and it will not be fair, for instance, for us as a party that has also worked very closely with Wakape, And also look at the candidate here is the wife to the late Honorable Wakape.
Right.
Then there are other issues besides the history of the by-elections that have passed, that we are not going to field candidates in those by-elections.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Fred, as we close on this subject, we have witnessed, in most of the by-elections when, say, a member of parliament, an AMC member of county assembly passes on, a governor passes on, then in most cases, the conversation is that, well, maybe a family member should take up the challenge. I do not know what you make of this, and I keep saying that I'll have a conversation about that, probably have the likes of Senator Mutula Kilonzo on board, just for them to come and weigh in on this particular factor. And you have evidently seen what has played out in Garissa. We do not want to castigate the same, but it's not even the young man who opted for this, but the community itself was pushing for the same.
Yeah, true. Linda, it's true that we, right even from the current parliament, there are members who got into politics through, hereditary leadership.
Yes.
And you see, politics is not hereditary. Politics is about competition, and you compete on ideas, and the best person with the best idea that attracts the people, the voters for that matter, win that election and is sworn in. But you have seen instances where the moment a vacancy occurs or arises as a result of probably death, then the first person to replace or to show interest is a family member. And sometimes not the family member having interest, because some of them are not even politicians, but being pushed by leaders from that region or by community from that region. The case of Garissa is very special because we had a press conference and unveiled our candidate on Friday.
Yeah.
Then on Sunday, we started seeing calls. And for the records, I spoke to Honorable Duale 2 days ago, and he told me that the community would want to have that done out of respect for Mzee Haji, who was equally a very good friend of mine. And this young man, Suleiman Gedi, that we fronted, was one of the BBI coordinators in Garissa, a very strong young man. And I can tell you he was going to win this election because the candidate that Jubilee is pushing for was not very popular on the ground.
Okay.
So if you see what the elders, and in northern Kenya or the pastoral community, the clan have a lot of say in who becomes a leader.
Right.
And that's why the matrix there is very different. But in these other regions, we've also seen people occupying positions as a result of family entitlement. Senator Kajwang, you have seen that. You have seen now the Machakos case.
Yes.
You have seen Mutula Kilonzo, a very good friend of mine. You have seen case. But some of those people who occupy such positions as a result of hereditary also have come out to be some of the best legislators, like Mutula Kilonzo. So we cannot, there must be a balance. But I can say politics is competition. And if it is competition, we must compete on ideas. And the best idea shall be given way. The better idea will try another time, because there is no worst idea. Better idea will try another time. Now, let's take a case where we decide as a country that every time a vacancy arises as a result of death, God forbid, then we must give way by nominating a family member. Then we shall be locking out other potential leaders who also equally qualify to contest in a democratic space.
Right.
So that one must be done away with. But the family member, if he's interested, in my view, must also be subjected through the same competition and let people compete if it is nomination. Because political parties sometimes do nomination and then the best person is given the ticket. But here is a case where they lock out individuals who are equally capable by not conducting nomination, and then they give a direct ticket to the family member. Then these other members, or these other politicians or aspirants who are interested in the seat, they start looking for other vehicles. But as I said earlier,
hold it, Fred. I'm afraid that we have to take a quick break. Yes, let's just take this quick break, commercial one, and then we come back and expound on that some more.
Join me this Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on the Throwdown, and I'll be showing you how to make this no-bake dessert. Quite easy no-bake desserts. The Scottish Cranachan and the apple crumble.
Umesimamia mfanyikazi hapo, hakuna maji imewekwa.
Yes.
ECF ni East Coast Fever. ECF actually is carelessness. It's pricey, but it's sure bet.
It's sure bet.
Yeah.
Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we head to Machakos to learn all about small-scale dairy farming.
On the next episode of Garden of Eden.
There are 1,000 red flags, and the thing is, you have an instinct, you have a gut, you know when something's off.
Should we get to a point where he says we are now dating officially, or how does our picture look like?
Nobody does that in this generation. You don't even ask a girl out anymore. You just sort of like, you know, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you know, because there's give and there's take.
Every Wednesday at 10 p.m. On the next episode of The Realtor.
We will talk about bungalows and lighting, how important it is to have the right light for your house.
I need to make my space look good. We see all these inspirations on the net.
That excitement of jumping to take something because you like it is what makes people go wrong. After that, you can resell your house or you can enjoy your house and your life is happy.
The Realtor. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m.
Welcome back to the broadcast as we expand some more on by-elections and a couple of other matters that we'll be touching on as we proceed. We do not fall short of discussing the NASA purge, but importantly the BBI, stalemate that sits at the level of the houses. I don't know whether Fred would look at that as a stalemate or, just something that would be fixed and we proceed forward. But all the same, this is in a way hugely delaying the process as it was expected to move, so to speak, in lightning speed. Fred, when you still.
So as I was saying, the by-elections, if you look at the happenings, it is unfortunate that some of the candidates that we have been given are candidates from hereditary politics, and some of them, while others have performed very well, others have disappointed. So, as I said, politics are competition. Now, on the issue of I don't know that I should proceed on the issue of the NASA.
No. You have winded up on that particular one, so yes, okay.
Yeah. There is what is called post and pre-coalition agreement that is deposited with the register of political parties, and that agreement is binding. We are told that there is one. I've not seen it, I've not read it with NASA. But I must say that the standing orders in the Senate, number 20, gives who occupies the position of the minority and the deputy minority leader in the Senate.
Yeah.
And that position was not ODM's, it was NASA's. And if it is true that that coalition agreement still exists on paper, then that is what is binding. And therefore, it is dangerous to take away that position from from a NASA coalition member and give it out to a member that is dominant.
Okay.
Number two, I think in my view that decision is unilateral and unprocedural, and in fact against the, the coalition provisions, because you cannot do that. But it is politics at the end of the day. This is emanating from the results of by-elections again. Matungu was a do or die for ANC.
Yeah.
It was their seat. They recaptured it, but through sweat. You saw the violence. We were here when we were analyzing this with you and the other team members. Kabuchai, you saw what happened. Machakos, you saw what happened. Some of these by-elections were a do or die for the principles.
Right.
And they thought if they lose it, they lose their mark at the top. And that's how much they were investing interest so that they can be considered as the kingpins. And that politics of kingpins must stop. If you want to be a president, you cannot be a president of a region. You can only be a president of the Republic of Kenya. So what we are asking them is that you must play politics as a national leader, particularly if you want to be, a president. But even if you want to be a member of parliament, Linda, like my friend here, you must be a leader that is looked at nationally, because when you go into the National Assembly, you are articulating the issues of national interest. Actually, you represent the nation. You don't represent only your constituents in the National Assembly. When you attack issues in the National Assembly, you attack issues and solve them based on the national interest. So for me, I would say that, as I finish, I would say that what we are witnessing, even in coalition partners, are as a result of interest that is coming in 2022, are as a result of suspicion in political coalition building, are as a result of new entrants like UDA who also want to find a space, Third Way Alliance who want to find a space in this big cake. So it's about jostling, but I must say that if we uphold democracy, then all of us will be happy.
Right.
And we'll go home happy people, having fielded our candidates, winning or losing, but we are happy as a Kenyan people without fights. Yes.
All right, so why would the likes of Tanga Tanga argue that, well, while this is happening, is a way of the president dismantling or distracting the activities of the likes of NASA, ODM and the likes, and on the other hand, the conversation that also it dismantles the process that has been put up by the president in terms of looking at a formidable coalition after the BBI process.
This is politics, and if you ask me, the other NASA principles, they are just behaving like crybabies. In politics, you don't put yourself in a situation where you're always crying.
Okay.
I think NASA died a long time ago. And if I may, I think these other principles ni wanawachwa lakini hawachiki.
But from what Fred says, this is something that can be challenged in court, Fred.
It can.
Yes.
Yes, but why not do that?
Okay,
because
instead of crying.
How does it really help?
Challenging this in court is not a form of crying.
NASA died the day. You remember the day of the swearing in of the people's president.
Okay.
The last nail was during this handshake when Raila happened to be the only guy doing the handshake with the president. I think that was the last nail on NASA.
But just how important are the memorandums that are normally signed, the paperwork that is normally in existence when we're talking coalitions? Remember, we, as many have projected, we are heading at a point where we'll have lots of coalitions culminating or coming up, and therefore we just cannot overlook this because then such is likely to happen. So how do we pick lessons from the same?
Of course, I do not by any way encourage what is happening.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying that we need, as politicians, even when doing these kind of coalitions, we also need to understand there are politicians who are generally greedy and they are not going to honor the memorandums. And particularly also, some of them are also so cunning that you don't even enter into those memorandums in the first place.
Yeah.
If you ask yourself, have you ever seen the memorandum or any form of agreement between Raila and Kalonzo, for instance? This famous yangu tano, nitakuachia tano, have you ever seen it? You've not seen it because it is possible that their senior boy in the coalition has also been very clever not to get into any form of signing of such agreements.
Okay.
So I think going forward, we are going to see even more and more of this. Basically, the foundation of this is mistrust between the principals and people who come into coalitions. And remember, most of these NASA principles, for instance, they have their presidential ambitions in 2022.
Yes.
And it is going to get worse because we can only see further divisions because either of them wants to be the next president. And probably some of these coalitions you see breaking, they are not breaking particularly, they are designed to fail. Just the way code was designed to fail because their senior principal did not manage the presidency, so they had to collapse their form of agreements that they had, form a new vehicle, so that now going forward they would say code does not exist. I think NASA has been dismantled particularly so that if there was any form of agreement between the principals, in 2022 the agreements do not remain valid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, as we speak about this, we've seen the wooing that is playing around. I don't know whether you envision a scenario where Third Way Alliance will be gelled into another party and probably a formidable coalition is formed, because it's always a game of seeking outfits that are good enough to make sure that your preferred candidates are also able to grab a seat when it's time for elections. Just how best can this be done so that we avoid these scenarios? I mean, a scenario where, as it stands today, the likes of other parties that form the NASA coalition are not able to enjoy the party funds simply because ODM says they are the bigger brother and they're enjoying this. Yet it is evident that the agreements that were set on paper have not been quashed.
In politics, whatever is promised, there's no guarantee that shall be delivered, particularly if it is an agreement of gentlemen. Number two, as a party, for us, we shall be forming government. And what we'll do is to join forces with partners that shall form government. That one I can guarantee you. And therefore, to that extent, we are working towards that. Today, I'm told that the Sacred Coalition are having a press statement, I think at Serena. It was supposed to be yesterday, I'm told that. I'll be very keen to listen to what they're saying, because some of the latest developments, particularly on the by-election, I'm sure they would be speaking to that. I'm also sure they would want to speak to the ouster of Malala as the deputy minority leader, and because I saw reports that the Kalonzo of Wiper and Mudavadi wrote to the Speaker Lusaka urging them to not to accept the ouster. But let me tell you, Linda, in this coalition building, a coalition must be built in the interest of the people of Kenya, not in the interest of individuals. And those coalitions that build in the interest of individuals collapse before even they start. And we've seen many of them collapse. So in going forward in 2022, as political parties and politicians, what we do want to see is a situation where politicians come together for the interest of the common person, and that must be reflected on how they collaborate, on how they craft coalitions. Because the biggest coalition that we have is the coalition of the people of Kenya, not coalition of regional kingpins. The coalition of the people of Kenya, in the sense that it is a coalition that will ensure that Kenyans work together in peace and harmony. Kenyans negotiate together for what they want from their leaders. Kenyans promise and put the leaders to account for what they want. But if we don't do that, yesterday I saw the president meeting coastal leaders. At the same time, I saw deputy president meeting some
coastal leaders also.
So you, as a politician, I look at it from two fronts. One, the president might be looking at it that how do I galvanize the support of everyone in the 15 months remaining so that they help me deliver an agenda as a national. Remember, under the Constitution of Kenya 2010, the president is a symbol of national unity. So his working with everyone is almost guaranteed in the Constitution, and he can do it. While the deputy president, who is also one of the people that have made it clear that he will run for presidency, is also trying to make support. Get support from other regions and put his house in order. So it's a competition of legacy versus ambition. And if you see, all these competitions cannot go together. Legacy and ambition cannot go together, because I don't think President Kenyatta is right now ambitious to have another term or do something.
Right.
But his legacy would want to leave a country that is united, a country that is speaking in one voice, not politically, but through development. And of course, you cannot separate development and politics. So politics will always come in everything. But Deputy President Dr. William Ruto, in his thinking also, is saying, because I have shown interest and I want to run for president, I also must build partners from all over the country. So those things will always clash. Today, the Sacred Coalition, the MP4, Moi, Mudavadi, Musalia, and Moses, are also likely to tell us something that, you know, they're in this thing till the end. So for me, I think what we need to do as people who are out here is to look for political formations that will deliver the promise that Kenyans have always wanted. The promise of jobs, the promise of food, the promise of healthcare, the promise of education, the promise of water, food, and electricity. That is what Kenyans want. And that promise cannot be delivered through only individual politicians who are coming out as kingpins. It can be delivered through ideologies. It can be delivered through political parties that are institutions, not political parties that are vehicles to win elections and then they collapse. You know, when you get into a car, going to Thika, for example, and then when you get to that car, you get to Thika, and then after getting to Thika, the car collapses at the stage. Then you wonder, how do I come back from Thika to Nairobi? You will be realizing that the vehicle you used to Thika is not the vehicle that can take you to the next stage. So you abandon that vehicle. But for how long are we going to abandon vehicles? We must have vehicles that will take us to and fro. That is what is lacking in this country.
Okay, we dropped that one. Now that you've also touched on the aspect of the coast, just before we close it and get to the BBI conversation, just how instrumental would it be for the Coastarians to indeed form their own preferred party, because that is what they have been talking about, you know, in the past few months or thereabout. And looking at the aspect of unity, which President Uhuru Kenyatta seeks to achieve, they say that for the longest of time, they feel like they've been marginalized, they've been left out. And so it is important that they form, you know, a regional outlook that is equally going to tell everyone that, A, we are here, we are in existence, and we are capable.
Let me start by saying that I do not think it's right to say that politics and development can't go together. So the ambition in terms of development and in terms of politics, they actually go hand in hand. And I'll tell you what, I believe President Uhuru Kenyatta's performance in his first term was better than the second term. And if memory serves me well, there was a lot of politicking in Uhuru's first term because he was seeking his second term. And I remember the DP was running up and down and in favor of the president, campaigning for him literally, and chasing and fighting the NASA principles. And nobody complained. And I think we need to be honest with ourselves. The closest the president got into uniting this country was forming Jubilee. And the moment Jubilee started disintegrating, then the unity of this country also started disintegrating. For what reason? And this is in regard to the question you're asking about cost forming their own party. I think if we must have a united country, then we must run away from these regional parties. This is what is killing us. There is a party for Ukambani, there is a party now for Coast, there is a party for Central. You know, when Jubilee was formed, there was some ideology around formation of the Jubilee. We wanted people to you remember the times of KANU, tribalism wasn't much of an issue. Because people knew of one party called KANU, and people competed around the confines of KANU. And now, the best way to unite the country is first of all try to reduce these tribal formations, so that if I am in Ukambani and I'm a member of a certain party, I look at it from a national perspective, not from some certain regional kingpin. And therefore I think well, we can't stop the coast from forming their party as the other regions are doing so.
Yeah.
But it is my strong belief that if this country has to be united, we need to walk out of these regional tribal parties and concentrate on building national parties that they have their presence across the other the
really,
entire country.
Mheshimiwa,
Yes.
let's be honest for a moment and maybe
Yes.
take this conversation a notch higher.
Yes.
We are an ethno-majoritarian society, community, so to speak. We know how much people pride in their own respective tribes. And while we could say Jubilee was one that looked like it would speak the aspect of unity, there's some level of strength in terms of the region that Jubilee would lie in, so much so maybe informing why a lot of decisions that actually political parties actually make. If at all we were to look at parties that stand and do not have a regional outlook within them, then we'd be looking at parties like Third Way Alliance. But just how many Kenyans, or just how convinced is the voter that really we do not need these regional outfits, but we need a party that is formidable for the rest of the nation?
It is a problem that we must cure,
Okay.
because I'm not saying the
How do we
problem
do
doesn't
this?
exist. And that is the only way, going national with parties. We tried, and it almost worked, because remember, last election, we talked about the NASA coalition more than Wiper Party. We talked about the NASA coalition more than ANC. And which means there was some form of coming together, of, but people were already running on their own. You remember also Jubilee collapsed so many parties, and whenever you talk about Jubilee in a certain area, people would quickly forget about their small parties. We are not there yet, because again, remember with this NASA coalition, there was still some form of an agreement that if you come to Ukambani and it's a NASA zone, then like you allow Wiper to field most of the candidates in that region. But I tell you, Linda, one way to bring, to start uniting our country is first to start talking about politics of issues, not tribalism and kingpins, and then also to start collapsing our small parties into building parties that have national presence.
Into building coalitions, for that matter, is
Yes.
is our fate sealed to that, Fred?
I think the first thing is that, today, Linda, there are over 74, 75 political parties. But there are only 4 dominant ones,
yes,
us included. But if you look at the dominant ones, out of the 4, 3 have regional presence. It means they're mobilized regionally, and some even ethnically. It is unfortunate, and that is against the Provisions Political Parties Act. It must not happen. But going forward, I also think we must get serious with our Kenyan politics, because we must look at formations. There's nothing wrong with building coalitions. You can build coalition with others. You don't need to fold up your party. You build coalitions and front a candidate, if it is in the presidential race, a candidate that is formidable and the candidate that is going to win, so that you can end up with only 2 formations, 2 political formations, but under these 2 political formations, there are 73 parties. So it's not a coalition, but they are formations. If you look at the US, you are hearing of the Democrats and Republicans.
Yes.
And it becomes very interesting and fun to
Right,
play
to play politics.
And you see the ideas coming, debates. Imagine now you go and parade, like I see happening in 2022, you go and parade 15 presidential candidates at Quer for presidential debate. It's a boring adventure. It's not fun. So as politicians, we want to have fun. And we have to have fun explaining.
And even as you parade them, we keep saying that, it's a race that is considered between for 2. But then the others...
the others Nipunda. And then they start saying, we are going to do this debate in 3 stages.
The main.
Like happened, because I participated in the presidential last time. The second tier, the third tier. Then the third tier starts saying, no, come assist in Nipunda, then we are boycotting. And we saw people boycotting. So what we need to do, this Punda versus horses must go away. The only way it can go away, we must be equal. Under the Bill of Rights, we're all equal. And then we go for formations of the top. But down here, we compete fairly as political parties.
Okay.
Because when you go into coalition, there's nothing stopping us from going to coalition. Right now, it is about coalition building. But the coalitions must also be serving the interests of the people. Because some coalitions, they go, draft coalition agreement, deposit with the registrar, and they don't tell their supporters or their members that this is what we agreed on.
Right.
Then when they differ, you hear it the first time on the media, that you said this and you said this. Some say, by the way, we agreed, but I've not served my term as agreed. So I have to get it first. So even if you get it in 20 years, it's very the other person.
They have to hold and show their interest.
It's unfortunate. So Linda, for me, I think Kenya has grown. And right from the time of multi-party democracy, we have seen how coalition building are coming. Look at 2007, it was about coalition. 2013, coalition. 2017, coalition. 2022 will even be a super coalition.
Right.
We have seen the entrance of Dr. Muhisa Kitui in the race. We have seen Mudavadi. We have seen Wetangula. We have seen Kalonzo Musyoka, William Ruto, Raila Odinga. From Central, the others that are emerging. All these people want to be president. But you know what? Only one winner.
Okay.
And they know it. So it means they'll have to coalesce at some point and now form formations that are going to compete against each other. What we would not want to see as politicians and leaders is where parties are folding to support one. And if that one party collapses, then the end of everything. We don't want to see that, but we welcome. And as a party, I've said, and I'm speaking here as the SG of the party, we welcome partnership. We welcome partnership that is pro the people of Kenya. We welcome partnership that is going to serve the interests of the majority, not minority only. So that we go into an election that we are sure that once we get in this election, our interests will be catered for, and the interests of our people shall also be catered for.
Okay, well, let's talk BBI. And it's at the level of the houses. Are you as confused as the Kenyans are?
First of all, Linda, I've never been able to understand why in the first place we needed this BBI thing. Huh?
Okay.
But that's where we are now. The question we have as Parliament is why spend resources, bring a bill to Parliament, task us even to engage the public on public participation. The public will eventually give some views here and there, and then that is all in vain. You see, even if it was not for Parliament itself, if the bill is just passing through the Parliament, without any other engagement, then it would be reasonable. But then if there is, to the extent you understand every bill that comes to Parliament must be subjected to public participation. And the views of the public matter. So then how do we then argue that this bill that comes to Parliament, Parliament has no role, the views that then collected from the public have no meaning, and so that we can achieve what? Because then you see this kind of attitude of no comma, no additional comma is what got us where we are. 2010 we had a similar situation where majority of the people were okay with the constitution, but some were saying we need to do a little touch here and there so that we get a better document before we pass it. The others were saying that the document, you can't add a comma or a dot. And then now, a couple of years down the line, those who were saying that you can't add a dot or a comma are here with the document again saying you can't add a dot or a comma. It beats logic. If really we understand this bill comes to us through public initiative, the popular initiative, but popular with who? Because Article 1 of the Constitution, then the sovereign will of the people, can be exercised directly by the people or through their representatives. So if I am speaking in Parliament, I'm not speaking as Vincent Kawaya. I'm speaking on behalf of the over 250,000, close to 300,000 people from Mwala. If you ask me if this thing was subjected to even this form of participation before it came to Parliament, then I will tell you very little of it has anything to do with my people of Mwala.
Right.
And therefore, the best opportunity that people can speak to it probably would be this parliament. So I'm yet to understand why all this opposition into introduction of anything in this bill. What is it particularly that is being protected in this document that you can't touch it?
All right. The constitutional experts, the drafters of the same, say it is written in, like it is clear that Parliament should not make any amendments to popular initiative. And I'd want to believe before it got to this level, Parliament was privy to this information, or at least, a couple of them were privy to this. People like Senior Counsel James Orengo argue that, well, there needs to be an adjustment on the same, and Parliament needs to be allowed to probably weigh in their sentiment on that. He says we have had many changes to Constitution before, and it has always come to Parliament for changes, even the constitutional changes of 2010. Well, on the other hand, the likes of these drafters of the Constitution, the likes of Mkangi, argue that, well, Senior Counsel should know that this is not possible. I mean, it's a lot of confusion, lying herein. And in a way also what it is that the legislators are bringing on board in terms of complaints or in terms of suggestions, in a way hold water. Why take people through the process of public participation at the level of Parliament, then do not allow a scenario where Parliament can look into how they incorporate some of the interests that they have shared?
Linda, I'm a proponent of constitutional amendment, and you know that.
Yes.
And if just give me a few minutes to explain to your viewers what is happening.
Okay.
And it is important for our viewers to understand that the bill before Parliament today is a bill that came from the people.
Yeah.
It is a bill that is undergoing popular initiative. There are only two ways to amend the Constitution: Popular Initiative Article 257 or Parliamentary Initiative Article 257. All those can end up in a referendum if the aspects of those bills touches on the provisions of Article 255. In this case, the aspect of the bill touches on the provision of Article 255, and we've explained that before. If we have time, we'll go through that. Now, the reason why we have this challenge is because in this country, to date, we don't have what is called Public Participation Act that guides on to what level, to what extent should we do public participation. And be that as it may, public participation is a continuous process. It requires that the views of the public are factored in the final decision making. However, if you look at the provisions in law of Article 257 that pertains to popular initiative in the Building Bridges or Constitution of Kenya Amendment 2020, there is extensive public participation that such a bill undergoes, just like we did Punguza Mizigo. And I'm speaking from experience here. The first public participation in this bill emanated from the propositions that the public gave to the then it was called task force. Then it came to the steering committee. Then the second level of public participation went to the county assemblies, where the members of the county assembly involved their representatives and debated this bill. This bill is not a money bill, it's not an ordinary bill, it is a special bill, and therefore the bill only goes through first and second reading. In the second reading, it is debated and passed as is without changing anything. Why? Because the bill has undergone another public participation where it requires a threshold of at least 1 million endorsement by the public. So if you change anything in the bill, it will mean that you are interfering with the propositions that were given by at least 1 million, which is a constitutional threshold, and therefore you render it moot. Number two, that bill must pass in at least majority of the counties, which is 24. It overwhelmingly passed, I think, 43. Now it is before the Parliament, and the Constitution says it shall be introduced in Parliament without delay. It was introduced. At the Parliament, the Constitution requires Kawaya, Honorable, and team to facilitate public participation in all their legislation and committee businesses. That means, even in this is a legislation, they shall comply with the provision Article 118. And to that extent, they invite the public and explain to the public what is this bill, what is it about, what are the contents, and the public also tell them this is what we feel about it. Then the committee, JLAC, writes a report and table it just like their counterparts in the county assemblies did and debate it. They have only two options. In fact, the members of parliament today must resist the temptation or the excitement to amend this bill.
Okay.
This is not their bill. This is a public bill. And this bill is a bill that is coming from the public. They must resist. They only have two options. Number one, to pass the bill as is in accordance with Article 257 and submit it to the president for assent. Then the president will alert IEBC to conduct a referendum, or reject the bill as is, and it is submitted to the public for a referendum.
IEBC has reservations on this particular bill. One of the key things that actually is causing us to have this conversation. So why would, how then do we trust the IEBC?
I don't think so. IEBCs have no reservation. I have read the BBI bill, what's called the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020, severally. And if you look at the issues the IEBC are raising, and some of the members of parliament are trying to play politics with it, it is unfortunate that the members of parliament want to play politics. And I agree with Bob Mkangi. Some of these people are senior members of parliament and councils, and they should understand legal facts. The issue IEBC is raising is the issue of the 70 constituencies. In the Constitution of Kenya 2020, IEBC, in the limitation of electoral units, they have got two functions that are touching on what BBI has proposed. Number one, delimitation of electoral units of constituencies and boundaries. What BBI has proposed is the number of constituencies, now 70. IEBC has no role in determining the number. Their role ends at reviewing the boundaries of constituencies and names. But they have a role in reviewing the number of wards. Article 89 sub-article 2, Article 89 sub-article 3. In the BBI bill, what is being discussed is the 70, which is the number. And therefore, that proposition came from the public. And again, we should understand why 70 or why additional. There's a constitutional principle, what is called general principle of electoral system, that require that the number of representation must be fair. There are certain areas, and Kawaya will tell you, and here we can agree, that if you have a constituency that is bigger and another person in parliament has a smaller one, and you receive the same CDF, and in terms of ranking, the person who has a smaller one will be seen to be doing more development than you, and you ask, do we have the same members of parliament, or what is happening? You see,
and in this case, when you say small, you speak of small in numbers or small
in population.
Yes.
And that's why the Constitution requires that the number of people represented by one is representative shall be as equal as possible to the population quota. And that number is at a threshold of, I think, 134, 132,000. Most of the constituencies today are at that level, but some of them are way above. So it means those people are underrepresented and it is unfair. And that's why, when you look at the argument in the parliament, people are trying to use this as a trick. They want to trick Kenyans. I can tell you, Linda, the only ultimate decision maker in the BBI bill is the public. And we want to urge members of parliament, don't play poker games on us.
I'll come back to you.
That bill must go to the people. Stop delaying, because the public participation has happened. You cannot try to introduce the views to the public while the bill is a popular initiative bill that has undergone extensive public participation from proposition to where it is now. Allow Kenyans now to make a decision on the bill.
Okay, Mheshimiwa.
I believe I might have a problem with a few issues. Most of what he said is true in terms of we need, there are areas we need more constituencies. The way too might be the issue here, because if we didn't have BBI, the process of boundary review would still continue, because that's the mandate of IEBC. And we cannot claim that IEBC doesn't know how to decide on where to add new constituencies, because basically that is their mandate and that's their work. So as you well know, of course, BBI there was a document that could not sell, and somehow a few things here and there had to be added, even some things like even help loans, which have nothing to do with the constitution, but just anchored there in the document to entice people. So yes, it is true we need new constituencies. But is that the mandate of BBI or whatever? Should we have a new constitution solely so that we get new constituencies? I don't think that is right, because IBC would have still been able to potentially do that work without the new constitution. But back to this issue of the Parliament's involvement or role in this document as it is in Parliament currently. Again, I think you mentioned something that takes us back to what I was saying. You said Parliament has no role because the document originates from the public. It has been subjected to public participation at the level of the public before it comes to Parliament. Yeah. But then, interestingly, you say there is also the public participation aspect at the National Assembly. You call the public, explain to them what this is all about. Why would you want to explain to the public about a document that you don't even know about that came from the public themselves? It means there is a disconnect, because you would want to, if you are taking time to explain to the public about that document, it clearly means that there is a disconnect from the source, because it is imagined that if this document was clearly subjected to public participation, then even our role, we wouldn't even need to do anything to this document. We not even need to call the public or subject it to public participation. I think the law is not cast on stone. The Constitution is subject to interpretations. And I want to agree with the senior counsel Orengo that logically, the Parliament should have some considerable say on this document. It only makes sense that you bring the document to us, the public brings their views. Then why are they bringing the views in the first place? Why are we even wasting public funds if there is you can't change anything to accommodate their views? And again, let me take you back to when, you know, that Alliance did a very good job on Punguza Mzigo. I want to commend them for what they did. But it is far from what happened with this BBI thing. This BBI thing is not an origination of the public. Let me be categorical that the only chance the public has to give their input on this document is now at the level of the National Assembly. Because this document originated from two individuals who did a handshake, within closed doors. They came out, they decided there is going to be a new constitution. But
let it open, Mushibua, for people to come and present their views.
Yeah, and I want to tell you, there was a public participation meeting in Kitui, where we are now supposed to give our views. I am the member of parliament for Mwala. I cannot carry the entire crusade, Mwala to Kitui. When we went there, let alone the Mwala people, I didn't get a chance to say a single word. Just say hi, I didn't get. So tell me, how is the Mwala people carried along in this document? So that's why I told you, we need, there are things about this document that might be of interest to us as the people of Mwala. I need a new constitution, but I strongly believe I don't need a new constitution to get a new constituency, because rightly so, I have the right now, with the basis of my population, basis of my land mass, I am now ready to get a new constituency as per the mandate of IBC.
And let's play the devil's advocate, Fred, that in as much as there was public participation, as you would say, this document has been in constant review. And you know, you've even had a task force member arguing that, you know what, this document, having looked at it, it's actually not what we have deliberated on. And so the process is probably necessary, you know, to be conducted constantly at this level. So why would you overlook what it is that has been presented in Parliament just because?
You know, Linda, my friend Kawaya here is a politician, and the way he puts his argument, they are so convincing that also political. I'm equally a politician, so I understand.
You're convinced.
So it's okay. But let me tell you, first of all, let me start from where I started. This issue of help, people have talked about help, I don't know, qualification of the MC. Those things are not in the Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill. That bill is explicit.
They're confusing the bill with the report.
The bill, you know, the report has got 4 aspects. Number 1, constitutional reforms, which has now been translated into Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill. We have got legislative reforms. We have got the the
administrative,
the administrative, and then we have got the policy. So all those are separate. There's nothing stopping stopping Kawaya and the team to start looking into the legislative proposal and ensure, even now, that the people who are graduating from the university are given the moratorium of the 4-year grace period before they pay their loan. There's nothing stopping them from looking at the SME Act and ensure that those acts are to the extent that they can provide services to the business owners. Now, let's go to the substance of the issue. This bill, people have talked about it. I really share in the sentiments of my good friend Kawaya, but you know what? Parliament, we are not saying, as the proponent of the bill, we are not saying that Parliament has got no role. They have a role. The MCAs, the county assembly, they had a role.
They did not ask for them to amend anything.
They did. In fact, today, Linda, we'll be having 47 separate bills.
Yes.
So you can imagine how you're going to deal with 47 bills that are supposed to be one thing. And the Constitution of Kenya, in Article 257, talks of a bill, not bills. And therefore, that means that document must be one. Nandi County went to court. Machakos went to court. I think Kericho went to court seeking interpretation, and they were referred to the government legal advisor, AG. And AG, in his opinion, gave a very good opinion and said the aspect of public participation, it must be factored in because it's a legal requirement. And the public participation is also continuous. And this bill has also undergone extensive, such a bill undergoes extensive public participation. And I've explained and enumerated the levels. Lastly, Linda, we must understand that there's a lot of politics that comes with the constitutional amendment. It will not be easy, but I can assure you, this bill has undergone 80% of what they need to do.
What if these politics that you speak about, and what if these amendments that Parliament is asking to be allowed to just put
Parliament
in?
does not ask for any amendment.
They haven't. I mean, just like they are say incorporated in this particular. What if this will be? Okay, well, what if it will be instrumental, in having the bill sail through eventually at the level of referendum? Wouldn't you advocate for the same? Because you want the bill to sail through. You want it to have a yes at the level
to sail through because Punguza Mizigo presented 15 issues. 11 of the issues are in the BBI bill.
Yes.
We have a perfect opportunity to secure the lives of Kenyans who supported. There are over 1.2 million who endorsed Punguza Mizigo. This is the opportunity. All those things that you are seeing there, majority of them came from Punguza Mizigo. And we appreciate that we don't have monopoly of ideas. We appreciate that there's an opportunity for Kenyans to come together and transform this country as one people. But what you are saying is, what happens if they amend it?
And it is instrumental in making it sail through.
Let me tell you, if they amend it, they'll be inviting those for litigations.
Okay.
People will run to court and say that how come the MCAs were never given an opportunity to amend? Remember, the National Assembly or Parliament, the Cameron Parliament, mirrors the county assemblies.
Yes.
In whatever they do, represent legislation and oversight. So it will be disastrous to amend it at the level of Parliament, even though it is the National Assembly only that are mandated to make laws. Remember, they are mandated to make laws. The Senate doesn't make laws. They are participants of lawmaking. They are not lawmakers.
Yeah.
County assemblies, they do legislation as pertain to the county. And the word there is may. So, in the report, in the Constitution, the bill must go with a certificate to the bicameral speakers, Senate, who is a participant of lawmaking, and National Assembly, who is a lawmaker. So let me ask you, how then do you explain that this bill, while it is subjected through a joint committee, is only a section of the committee that can propose amendment? It will be unfair, it is discriminatory, and that's why we argue that this bill has undergone extensive public participation. And the role of Parliament is not even ceremonial as people argue. No, they have a role because they must debate it on its merit or reject it on its demerits.
But they
can't do that, Linda, before they invite the public through Article 118.
And the public they invited.
Either explain to the public or allow the public to give their views to the extent they have understood the bill and then proceed and
do you realize that in this case, public participation, we are speaking of the likes of LSK, we're speaking of the likes of IEBC, and therefore...
LSK didn't present before Parliament. They didn't. No, they didn't.
That was the very first times. What was that?
No, the former LSK president was suspended by the society.
So in this case, you are
in his own capacity, and the members of Parliament had to put it.
And when I speak of that, I speak of that,
said that, by the way, those are not views of my society where I belong.
All right, but seasoned lawyers, or so to speak, an individual who can. This is where I was heading to with that. When you see his face, then you realize that there's some tenets of speak, and so we are speaking of legal brains that can equally proceed to litigate so much so about these documents, about this bill as it stands. So while you fear the fact that, in the event that Parliament is allowed to do that, then we're opening doors to lots of litigation. Don't you think that the same is likely to happen as it stands? Because some argue that it is actually half-baked.
You see, I didn't get your last, it has done what?
It is. They say it's half-baked as it is, the document.
Let me tell you, anyone who says that this bill is half-baked, they have not undergone through population. We are the only political party that managed, for the first time, to go through a popular initiative to the level of county assemblies. And the verdict was submitted to the National Assembly and Senate. And therefore, we have reached the Senate and National Assembly to that extent. Any other person has not. But this is the first time now we are having even a bigger one reaching that level. This bill, I want to ask people to read it. The reason why people are not getting it is because they have been listening to us politicians sending different messages. But when you read it yourself, you realize that within this bill, there are so many good things that will only help you if it passes. But if it doesn't pass, they remain on paper. So, already as we speak, there are people in courts. And I can also take this opportunity to say that as a party, we withdraw our matter we are out of petition E400. Now, already people are in court. The court, through a 5-judge bench, had this matter 18th, 17th, 18th, and 19th. They'll be giving a verdict probably this week or next week. But remember, Linda, that is bound to happen. Even after it gets to the level of IBC, somebody can still go to court. But what Kenyans are hoping for, what is it in this bill that will benefit them? The bill outlines how we are going to strengthen devolution. The bill outlines how we are going to articulate the issue of CDF and constitutionalize it so that Kawaya and team can now have a mandate that is constitutional in terms of CDF. The bill gives development to the lowest level and using the word as a primary unit of accelerated development. The bill now includes an economy that is equitable so that we can start growing this economy from livelihood pastoralism, agriculture, digital economy, and the rest. And to that extent, so many people believe that this bill is good. We cannot allow a few members of parliament who have got 2022 interest to interfere now after we have come from very far.
Is there anything, Mheshimiwa, in this bill that you think would be of interest or of importance to you people?
Definitely so, and that's why I'm worried that any attempt to look at this document to change the document is looked with suspicion, as if whatever is going to be added there is not going to enrich the document. So let me also put it this way. The change of heart, that way alliance, I would want to imagine that, yes, there are a couple of things that were
incorporated.
Yeah, but I think you missed it all. Because punguza mzigo, even look at the term, punguza mzigo. Which mzigo are you punguza?
Was enticing enough.
With the addition of 70 members of parliament. Which punguza mzigo are you really punguza with the addition of the position of Prime Minister, deputies, and so on and so forth?
I'll explain.
Let me just put it this way.
Maybe it's part of the three. Is it three that were not incorporated or were not considered?
In this document, one, I would say that I will not, as a member of parliament elected to represent people, I will not participate in a futile exercise. I will not ferry my people.
Why do you render it futile?
It is futile because why would you want me to ferry my people from Mwala to give their views on this document and public participation? Because that's what we do. Sometimes go to the people directly or ask them to come to Parliament. So I will not do that in a futile exercise, ferrying people and their views. None of their views is going to be incorporated. Let us stop being scared about this document. Yes, we understand there are a number of issues that are of interest to us, but some of them are outrageous. They are just promises. Let me tell you, the CDF that we receive about 2% of the national share, the national government share, up to now, it is just about 2 months to the end of this financial year, we've not even received 10% of that money. I also want to tell you that the county governments have not received completely their share of the 15% that they are supposed to receive.
Yes.
Now there are so many promises. We are going to give this, we are going to give 35%, without even bothering to explain the source of this money when you cannot even finance 2%. So I think the document is really covered with a lot of interesting stories and promises, just like politicians do. They will promise you heaven on earth, Canaan that does not exist. So the document, if it were possible to implement it and without even stretching Kenyans to a burden of so many members of parliament, and you understand these big cars are going to be financed by the public. So taxation must somehow shoot up. So there is a price to pay in that document. There are a number of good things, but with a huge price to pay. But again, the worst thing of all is that the promises in that document, most of them are not tenable. Let them start by giving us the 2% of CDF, we see it. Let them start by giving the 15% to county governments. We see that there are no issues with doctors. The 15% can reach the mashinani. And let me also tell you this issue of Ward Development Fund. There are counties that have already implemented the Ward Development Fund as it is. Again, it makes me wonder, why do you even want, why should that be a big issue to have Ward Development Fund? What we need is governors who can respect there is always a public participation for every financial year. Every village comes together and they come up with a list of needs that they have to give the county government. Why can't they just respect that? Remember again, even this Ward Development Fund, it is still going to be legislated on by the parliament. And therefore, it is not some funds that is going to be given to the MCS as promised. There's no some hanging money that is going to be delivered to MCS. Because these guys, what they have tried to do is to try to entice MCS to believe that there is really going to be some money that is they are going to be controlled as if it's loose change to them, but that is not going to happen.
And the excitement shows how corruption is going to be.
Country is broke. There is no money. We are living on even the roads you see, it is borrowed money. We are not unable to survive. Our salaries, even as members of parliament, our staff, they take too long to be paid. There is simply no money in this country. I beg to understand where the source of finance in this entire document is going to come from.
Well, I've read 30 seconds.
My good friend Kawaya is a very ambitious politician, and I know one day he will be a governor. He will change his mind on all this we are doing today, and we will remind him of this clip, because at that time he will be looking at a Ward Development Fund, and he will be having MCAs that are opposing him. So if you have, because people have argued that Ward Development Fund, it's already there, but what if we have a situation where the governor is not in terms with one or two of the MCAs in his county? Then it means they'll frustrate him. And therefore we must have a constitutional requirement that can be, people can even go to court and say, no, we have a right to get the Ward Development Fund. And the bill does not say that the money will be given to the MCAs. No. Parliament shall legislate on the County Ward Development Fund Act, and that shall stipulate how the fund will be distributed, who are the manager of the fund, and so on. Lastly, Kawai has talked of 50%. Cumulatively, Kenyans must know, county governments have received close to 31%. So the PBI has proposed an equitable economy, what is called economy and shared prosperity, that will support the proposals therein. And we cannot argue that we are not able to support. We are able to support. Kenya is a very rich country. The challenge we have is theft of public money, which BBI is also dealing with in proportion to amend Article 80. Yes. I submit, Linda, that my good friend Kawaya should reconsider and tell the people of Mwala the truth, because the people of Mwala want money in their pockets. It is only through the Constitutional Amendment of Kenya of Bill 2020 that will allow the people of Mwala headed by Kawaya to get this. So Kawaya, don't relax.
Gentlemen, thank you so much. Vincent Musyoka Kawaya, Member of Parliament Mwala, and Fred Okango, Secretary General Third Way Alliance. It was good having you. We cross over to a different conversation altogether on matters, housing after this break.
And I'll be showing you how to make this no-bake dessert. Quite easy no-bake desserts. The Scottish Cranachan and the apple crumble.
Umesimamia mfanyikazi hapo, hakuna maji imewekwa.
Yes.
ECF East Coast Fever. ECF actually is carelessness. It's pricey, but it's sure bet.
It's sure bet.
Yeah.
Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we head to Machakos to learn all about small-scale dairy farming.
On the next episode of Garden of Eden.
There are 1,000 red flags, and the thing is, you have an instinct, you have a gut, you know when something's off.
Should we get to a point where he says we are now dating officially, or how does our picture look like?
Nobody does that in this generation. You don't even ask a girl out anymore. You just sort of when you're in a relationship with somebody, because there's give and there's take.
Every Wednesday at 10 p.m. on the next episode of The Realtor.
We will talk about bungalows and lighting, how important it is to have the right light for your house.
I need to make my space look good. We see all these inspirations on the net and we want to do that.
That excitement of jumping to take something because you like it is what makes people go wrong. After that, you can resell your house or you can enjoy your house and your life is happy.
The Realtor, every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Stories.
All right, we are in a different conversation. We talk matters housing for the middle class, but not just the middle class, generally looking at housing and just how best we can get everyone at least owning a home. That is very, very important. We all know what has been amongst the Big Four agenda that has been championed by President Uhuru Kenyatta. Yes, affordable housing. We have seen across different parts of the world, across Africa, most of the leaders actually campaigning on basis of how best they're going to ensure that the people are able to enjoy affordable houses. Well, you go to Zimbabwe, you get the likes of Command Housing, a project that is set towards making sure that people eventually get to own homes. But just how realistic is this, and how is the government working in tandem or together with the individuals that are in the housing sector to ensure that this dream is realized? Out of the Big Four agenda, many would argue that there are a couple of them that have not even been touched on, but housing has been touched on. We've seen the proposals that have been given. Well, some of them looking at as though they are friendly enough, but others arguing that this is not friendly enough, but at least there has been progress. But just how then do we get this progress realizable for the sake of the people? Joining me for this particular conversation is the CEO, Pacific Realty Investment, who is Farason Mureithi. Good to have you, sir. Morning to you. And yes, in such a short time, we seek to address matters housing. Very crucial. Sure. I mean, you and I know that every other time you probably get into employment, the first thing you think of is maybe how do I get myself a small car? How do I get myself a home eventually? That piece that comes along with the fact that, you are sitting in your own home. I want to believe that if you're a CEO of Pacific, an entity that deals with homes and real estate and all that, you probably own your own home. I mean, the satisfaction that comes along with that, the feel that comes along, with knowing that nobody's going to come to knock at your door and ask you for, rent, the feeling that gets you knowing that, even if I lose my job today, at least I have my home, and so I can set up my own small kitchen garden and probably have my skooma coming out of there is crucial. Sure. We are speaking middle class, because then we understand the aspect of population, especially in these key areas, and the aspect of devolution, taking development to the people. And therefore, we probably, if this works well, we are going to be taken or elevated to that level of the middle class automatically. And so it is crucial that we address the aspect of housing, growth of population, and all that. So briefly, one, just how best is the government working towards making this realizable, and not just working as government, but working in tandem with you people who are in the housing sector?
Good morning, our viewers. My name is Farason Mureithi. I'm bored to be hosted today at TV47. Mm-hmm. I would say housing is one of the basic and basic human needs. So the government is trying all they can to help Kenyans own their houses. There is a concept of what we call the agenda for housing, mm-hmm. Which the government is also working on the same. Going back to the middle class, I can say there is a big shift in the way people viewed the way they own their houses, whereby people used to either buy apartments, you want to construct your house. So I would say even banks have tried to open up the market for middle class people. The people who are in middle class and they're in business, they're also embracing building their own houses. Yeah. And I would say the beauty about having your house is like, let's say the scenario of 2020, 2021, when we have had cases of corona. Most of the people who own their houses, they had challenges, but the challenge of paying rent was not one of in their basket list, because you find people who don't have houses, they had that challenge of even not able to pay their rent. Yeah. They were not even to meet their basic needs. So I would say, and I would encourage anybody, if you have the capacity, if you can be able to qualify, please start the home ownership journey, because once you have your home, you secure your family. That's the best thing that you can do to your family. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hand
to mouth, we barely have, what it takes to at least provide food for our very own. And therefore, sometimes we move around looking for, rational housing subsidies that could be available. We're looking for, that aspect of affordability and some of the programs that are in existence for someone to probably comfortably own a home, in as much as it's going to be an expensive affair eventually, but at least they will be able to start the journey. Just how available are some of these? I mean, are people privy to this information?
I would say owning a house has many aspects. One, there's a case of people you are saying that hand to mouth. So what you need to do if you want to own a home, you need to come up with a plan. That is number one. Okay. Number two, you need to come up with a budget which suits your finance capability. Because you see the biggest challenge with people owning home is, you see somebody's home, you'd imagine they spent like 20 million, 30 million to build that home, and then you feel like you cannot be able to afford such kind of a home. Yeah. So what happens, you need first of all to think backwards. If I can be able to save maybe 30,000 in a month. Maybe within 5 years, I can be able to have achieved to have a home of like 2 million, because you can have a home from as little as 1 million, depending on your capability. Then number 2 is to come up with goals and then try to achieve those goals, because you find also when you want to own home, you need to follow the right procedures, because you see what happens basically. People don't want to follow the right procedure in owning homes. There is no information outside there. Also, the aspect of information. So you find that when you want to own a home, I always say that the first people that you approach are either your relatives, your neighbors, your close circle of friends. Yeah. So we advise people to you need to dig deep into the processes of owning a home. It's not a milestone that nobody can achieve. You can achieve. You can start small. Like in our company, we have a concept we call Jenga Pole Pole. Jenga Pole Pole is whereby you have a dream of owning a house like of 2 million shillings, but then again you cannot be able to have the money within the same 6 months, 7 months, or 1 year. So we give you a plan whereby you can home that within a record time of like 2 years. Mm-hmm. So what you need to do is if you have 100,000, you can start with the foundation. Mm-hmm. Then you stop maybe for 2 to 3 months. Then you get another 200,000, you do the wiring, you stop for another 2 to 3 months, then you do the roofing. You do it step by step. Okay. So it's a journey that somebody can achieve step by step. Another thing is people now also have information of
Before you even rush to that,
yes.
We'd love to understand this Jenga Pole Pole aspect.
Yeah.
And when you speak about that, you say that if today I have my 100,000, I can walk in and I'm able to start that journey, or there has to be some down payment, there's some qualifications that probably there's some paperwork that I need to present, because in most cases you're told that these are in existence, but when it comes to presenting the paperwork, then you find that you're locked out.
What happens in the Jenga Pole Pole aspect is whereby you talk to a contractor. Okay. Let's say you find a contractor who deals with affordable housing like us. So you say I have a budget of like 2 million, but then again I can be able to raise, let's say 200,000 maybe after every 2 months. So you come up with a plan and based on the budget that you have. So the first thing is to draw the house according to the needs, and then again within the budget, we get the approvals as well as advise our customers. And then once you get the county approvals, then you can start the journey of the house construction. Okay. So what you need to do is you come up with a good contract which says that I'm not able to finance this project one-off. I'll be able to do it within phases, within a period of time. So what you do is let's say when you get a BQ from a professional quantity surveyor, they give a summary of costing. So you can be able to pick foundation work is like 300,000, 400,000, 500,000. Okay. So let's say your foundation is like 300,000 for maybe a 2-bedroom house or a 3-bedroom bungalow, depending on where you're building. So you can say after 3 months, I can be able to raise 300,000. So you take your contractor to the site, they do the foundation for you, they make sure that everything is well done, and then you take a break. Then again, when you go back to the BQ, it has also the aspect of the walling now, putting the structure. We call it the substructure. So when you do the walling of that house, maybe it costs you like 150 to 200,000. Then you take another break for you to get more money. So the third stage is now you do the roofing. You cover the house. Once you cover the house, you can go now to the other stages of doing the windows, doing the plaster work, then coming to the aspect of the finishes. Also, we have also seen customers who are not able to do the final finishes, but they can do them also within a period of time. Because if you have the structure, the structure is plastered, you have the washrooms, and then you have just basic plaster work and basic paint work. Other amenities like tiling, doing the painting, doing the fancy gypsum, you can do them within a period of time. Yeah.
All right. Well, there's something else you were going to before I distract your thought. I don't know whether you were able to recollect the same.
Yes. I also wanted to also bring the aspect of financing from our banking institutions. Okay. You find most people, they don't have the information. There is a facility many banks are giving to customers, which is called the construction mortgage. So if you're in employment, you can walk to your bank. You can give them, you can ask for that loan, and many people are qualifying for that loan. And if you negotiate well with the many major banks, they give you a good package, which is between 10 years to 20 years. Then you're able now to own your house. They give you the money, you construct the house, and then you'll be paying. It's like what you call rent to own. The money that you're channeling to rent, you can be able to channel to your housing. Yeah.
Okay, well, probably this would come with some advantages and some dangers. While we might say ultimately that you get to own a home, it doesn't matter how long. The questions then would be, what are the advantages of the same? What are the disadvantages of taking up such an arrangement? And what other options would come in handy to lessen the disadvantages?
I would say, let's say the disadvantages of doing a construction mortgage is basically you know, the interest that you shall pay in the wrong land.
Yes.
But if you can be able to have a secure employment, I think it's also an advantage, because you see, sometimes you are not able to raise such kind of money, so the bank will help you raise that kind of money.
Yeah.
Another option you can explore is joining SACCOs. You can join a SACCO, which they give like 3 times of what you save, you know, over a period of time. Another way of construction is whereby you save. You can save. You can give yourself a target. I want to save for the next 5 years so that I can be able to start the journey of home ownership. So there are various ways of approach towards home ownership.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's speak at the aspect of communities and just how best as a country we've been able to make housing more affordable for middle income families, and not necessarily middle income. We speak of, you know, how we get to elevate even those families that have been considered to be way below, you know, the level of survival. So then, or the level of poverty, so to speak. So how is it being made easy for us to be able to access this today?
What I can say, what the government is trying to do, and I think what they are trying to roll out so that people can be able to own their houses. One, they are trying to make the processes of, let's say, the initial process of construction, like approval process, the infrastructure, connection of power. You know, they're trying to make those processes easy, because you find most of the Kenyans, let's say the middle income earners, and even those people in the lower class, most of the guys own land. But then you find when they want to do construction, they consider very many things, like the infrastructure, how they are going to reach out to their plots. When they do the construction, how they are going to live within that community, whether there is no power, there are no utilities. So the government is trying to at least to open up areas. That's why you have seen there are very many bypasses which are being built. Once a bypass passes somewhere, you find even the cost of land is tripling. You know, it's going by 4 times, 5 times. So the government is trying to at least open up so that people can be able to build the houses, even as far as they can within the metropolis, because you find people who are in Thika or people in Kiambu, you know, they can be able to access Nairobi within 20, 30 minutes, depending with the road network. So the government is really trying to open up those ways. And also now the other aspect is where they are encouraging banks to give people loan to do construction.
So speaking of these adjustments, what are some of the pros and cons that, you know, are attracted to these particular cities that we speak about, you know, upon incorporation or attraction of middle income households? Because a lot of adjustments, social amenities wise, and you know, what you speak of infrastructure. I mean, while this could be looked at as development, just how friendly is it for the environment and for the people who have probably cohabited in this particular, you know, places that have, in a way, have to be adjusted, or their livelihoods have to be adjusted for the sake of incorporating this changes?
I would say one of the biggest challenges that we have is the way, you know, the way a government zoning. There's what we call zoning.
Yes.
Because you find, like now, giving an example of like Kiambu County, we had big tracts of land whereby people are planting coffee, you know, of things, but then that is being converted now into residential, commercial areas. So the only challenge that we're having is what we call the zoning, because you find a very good estate, which people have come up with, let's say, a gated community. But then again, due to things like corruption and everything, people now starting putting up commercial buildings within the same residential area. So it works against the wishes of somebody who wanted to have a comfortable home where there is not a lot of pollution and everything. So what I would say, if the government can be able to give zoning, if it's like go downs, you know, we need go downs and factories maybe in one section, whereby those things are not done within the same residential areas. Another thing is when they are doing the road network, they are not able to, you know, to give clear directions who is supposed to use what and what point. So you find people do very nice houses in good neighborhood, but then again, since the area is not restricted, you find there are accidents. You know, kids are not able to, you know, to live well because of the movement of even big trucks and vehicles. So we find we have that challenge of zoning. And then on the environmental aspect is whereby now we mix residential with commercial and also with factories. So you find like when they open a bypass, people put up bars and restaurants, people put residentials, people would want to put factories behind those buildings. So you find the relationship between those kind of construction violates violates even air pollution and everything. So if we can have zoning, well done zoning. Like the way we know, industrial area is where we find all the industries.
Industries, okay.
Yes, but then you find now any other area that is opening up, there are very many mixture of development.
Okay.
Yes, which beats the logic.
All right. Speaking of which, then, the long-term repercussions that sometimes we are supposed to look up as we're setting up these houses. And speaking of which, I mean, then also that falls on this aspect of, you know, middle class, because when we speak of middle class, at least in the country, sometimes we ask ourselves whether we have a middle class at all, based on the things that happen here and the fact that, you know, life is becoming very expensive. Well, for middle class, it should be considered that, you know, at least they're there in that aspect of, you know, they're standard in the sense that, you know, they can afford the basics and all that and everything, but such is not the case in the country. So we speak of, you know, these setups, you know, these urban centers, big setup and all that. We have constantly seen how many houses have had to be, you know, crushed and demolished for that matter, just because maybe an infrastructure is supposed to be set up or something else is supposed to be set up. How do we run away from such occurrences in future? I mean, you can imagine you took a loan to set up such a structure, and then before you know it, 5-6 years later, the government is on your case and there's an X. And I mean, I am speaking this because I have seen technically something happening the same, you know, where someone set up such nice houses, flats and all that, but well, at least half of this has to go because then something has to be set up there.
So what I would say, there are two scenarios here. When the infrastructure is being done by the government, sometimes it happens there is what we call what they call absolute acquisition, whereby a road has to pass somewhere, but then the investor or somebody who had done a house, they are going to be paid back by the government. That is, you know, that is an advantage to somebody who has done a development somewhere, and then the government is going to pay the money. Though there will be the issue of what we call, like, you know, when they're doing the SGL, the issue of now moving you from one place to another. Number two, there is what you call when you are buying land. You need to do what you call a lot of due diligence, because you need to know where you're buying land. Is it a commercial area? Is it a purely residential area? Is it a mixed development area? If you go to the government institutions, you'll be able to find that information. But you see, the way Kenyans do things, I come here today, I advertise I'm selling land along the road, I'm giving a discount of X amount of money. So people will rush and buy that land without thinking back. They need to know where that land is being sold, whether is it a commercial area, is it a mixed development, is it an industrial area? So you find, is that area also going to have like a road network that will pass through the same area? So people are not able to pick that information when they want to buy land. So people rush into buying properties without thinking. Then also there is another thing whereby people are lied to. You see, somebody tells you, I'm selling around in Kiserian, there is a proposed university AB which is coming up in that area. So you see people just rush there and buy land. You find by the time the basic amenities are being done in that area, it will take like 10 years, 5 years to come. So when you want to invest in construction like the middle income people, you need first of all to check on those factors, whereby you need to know, the kind of land you are buying, the area. Is it also controlled? Because also there are people who are just like people that the area is controlled, is not controlled. For you to have a controlled area, you need bylaws that guides the controlling of that area. That's why you find those established estates. Nobody can come up and do flats. Nobody can come up and do factories within the same area. But areas which are not well controlled, you can do anything because you have no limitation. So you need to find a balance. You need to get information, the right information, before you purchase that.
Just how fair is this balance? Because sometimes I mean, you brought up, and I just remember this, that you even go to certain estates and you find that the kinds of houses are almost the same. It's like there's almost a guideline as to how the houses should be. I mean, whether it should be a story building and how many floors they should go up, or how it should not go up. Is it not a bit unfair, especially when you realize that sometimes there are people who have their own style and interests and have bought land in this particular area that they consider good and would love to exercise that and enjoy what it is that they set up without so much of restrictions?
What I would say, the aspect of knowing the kind of plot you're buying and even the area also brings the thing of like the standard of those people that are buying that land. So you find let's say I give a case. If you want to buy land in Kitengela, you cannot find the same standards in Irunda. You understand? So guys in Irunda, guys in Membre, guys in Buruburu, before they sell that land, they come up with what we call bylaws to guide the way they are going to build their houses. They give you bylaws because they don't want to have a scenario whereby you bought that land, and you want to come and put like mabati structures on the same neighborhood.
Okay.
If you go also to other estates, they have not that controlled the kind of house you are going to do, but you see they have their own set kind of standards. So I would say it works depending also on your capability financially, and then what you are looking for.
Is it not unfair?
I would not say it's
I'd want to have land somewhere in Runda and
Yes.
have my small home there, at least based on what I can afford.
But then again, if you check also on the capital injection,
Yes.
if you're buying around in Lunda,
Then at least
yes, you should be somewhere where you can be able to do something
Yeah.
good. Yeah. So it also depends with the bylaws that those people come up with, and also protects the interest of the community that lives around there, to avoid scenarios whereby you buy a very nice land and then you come and put like an apartment within the same neighborhood, or you come and put a factory. Which will disrupt, the living standard of those guys.
Okay.
The same
and I'll tell you this, most of us probably get to that level where we buy land and are excited about building houses with zero information.
Sure.
Where do we run to get some of this crucial information? Because I mean, even the structures that have been set up today, you are contracting someone to work on that building, you realize that this person alikuwa tu mtu wa mkono, and before you know it, because they learned something, they learned the art of the process after building a couple of houses around, then they limited themselves to levels of being, indeed, foodies. What do we call them? They're called masons.
The masons, yeah.
The masons,
Yeah.
they elevate themselves to that level. So where do we rush to for this crucial information? If I am a person who just bought land and I want to just look at the aspect of developing it from scratch all the way up and getting the right individuals.
What I would say, the information is there. But then currently, I can say there is a very big shift in the way people get information.
Yeah.
You can get it from the social media. You can get it from the, you go to the internet. So there are very many government bodies that deal with housing, deal with land and everything.
Yeah.
And then also there is very many professional bodies and even professional people. One, you can talk to a lawyer who deals with what you call conveyancing. Conveyancing, whereby the lawyer deals with the process of buying land and everything. You can talk to an architect who has been in the field of the construction. You can talk to a QS. You can talk to an engineer. So those people can be able to give you that information. But then we have a Kenyan mindset where people think, if I want to go to seek information to a lawyer, they'll charge me a lot of money. It's a matter of negotiating and then agreeing on the fee so that they can be able to guide you. So once you get that information, then also there are the government bodies. You can go to the county office.
Yep.
They can give you the process of doing approvals. They can tell you where you want to buy land. That area is even a riparian area, whereby you find people have bought land, they have built houses, but then there was a river which was supposed to pass around that area.
Yeah.
And then after sometimes your house is demolished. So they can give you that information. There is the National Construction Authority. They can give you a lot of information. You can go to the land's office at the house. They can give you information on type of land that you are buying, you do a search and everything. So I would say there are very many bodies, but as Kenyans, we don't want to find information from those organizations. We always want to find information from our close knit circles of friends. Yeah.
All right, let's close it, Farson. Thank you so much for your time. Just what is available? I know you've already given us some of the things that or one thing that you have. You are Jenga Polepole as Pacific. But what is this other thing that you probably could be selling to the people now that is special, that is different, coming from Pacific as we close it in about 45 seconds?
Thank you very much. So what I would say for us, Pacific, we deal with what we call construction of affordable housing, whereby we give our customers the best rate, and then we make sure that we give good quality housing. We advise our customers, so when you come to office, we shall be able to advise you, and then also we help you from those processes that people are not aware of. So Pacific gives one-stop shop for all the construction services, from design. We do for you approvals, and then we build for you until we complete the house. And then once the house is done, we give what we call a post-construction warranty for defect reliability period of 1 year. So we're able to give you a turnkey project, a complete project. You can be able to check on our website, you can be able to check on our Facebook page, and you get all that information.
Which is Facebook page?
Facebook page is Pacific Light Investment Limited, and then our website is www.pri.co.ke, www.pri.co.ke.
Well, thank you so much for the information also. And importantly, why don't you check them out? You probably could be starting that journey that will transform your life for the rest of time. I started by saying there's so much relief in knowing that you are sleeping in your own home. Nobody's going to knock asking for money or anything. It is a lifetime experience that you probably would want to experience for the rest of time, for as long as you in planet Earth. Thank you so much for also keeping me company. Well, we now cross over to the gym and get to lighten up a bit. It's a Thursday. It is important we lighten up as we look forward to an incredible weekend ahead. My name is Linda Alela. Thank you so much, Farrison Murray, the CEO, Pacific Reality Investment. We look forward to have you some more as we discuss matters housing on different spectrums. After this break, we get into the gym.
And I'll be showing you how to make this no-bake dessert. Quite easy no-bake desserts. The Scottish Cranachan and the apple crumble.
Umesimamia mfanyikazi hapo, hakuna maji imewekwa.
Yes.
ECF ni East Coast Fever. ECF actually is carelessness. It's pricey, but it's sure bet.
It's sure bet.
Yeah.
Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we head to Machakos to learn all about small-scale dairy farming.
On the next episode of Garden of Eden.
There are 1,000 red flags, and the thing is, you have an instinct, you have a gut, you know when something's off.
Should we get to a point where he says we are now dating officially, or how does our picture look like?
Nobody does that in this generation. You don't even ask a girl out anymore. You just sort of like, you know, when you're in a relationship with somebody, you know, because there's give and there's take.
Every Wednesday at 10 p.m. On the next episode of The Realtor.
We will talk about bungalows and lighting, how important it is to have the right light for your house.
I need to make my space look good. We see all these inspirations in the net and we want to do that.
That excitement of jumping to take something because you like it is what makes people go wrong. After that, you can resell your house or you can enjoy your house and your life is happy.
The Realtor. Every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. At 7:30 p.m.
PM on the throwdown, and I'll be showing you how to make this no-bake dessert. Quite easy no-bake desserts. The Scottish Cranachan and the apple crumble.
umesimamia mfanyikazi hapo, hakuna maji imewekwa.
Yes.
ECF ni East Coast Fever. ECF actually is carelessness. It's pricey, but it's sure bet.
It's sure bet.
Yeah.
Join us this Sunday at 7:30 p.m. as we head to Machakos to learn all about
Get set, and Instructor Tosh and Dan are here to say the go aspect. So, go, instructor.
All right. Hi, guys. Instructor Tosh here with my colleague Dan. So today we want to do something different a bit. So we're going to start with some high intense workouts, 3 or 4 high intense workouts. We do a repeat of them, and then we do some abs. Intense abs with Tabata music. What do I mean? Tabata music gives you the count and the reps. Gives you breaks and reps and counts as you work out with it. So if you feel that you cannot really do the setting on your own, you can look for Tabata music and it will direct you through workout. So we're going to do that today and a bit of stretches as we wind up. So help you enjoy. You're ready? You're warmed up?
I am.
You're good?
Well, I don't know if I am, but I am.
So, okay.
30 minutes.
Energy. We're starting. So we do some stretches. As we said, stretches are good when you start workout.
Yeah.
And end with stretches so that your body will relax after the workout. So we start with a few stretches. So here we go. Put your left leg across your right, your hands to the back, and you stretch all the way down your hamstring. Very nice. Let's go 2. Nice. Go 3, 4. The last one 5. Changing back. You go down. Give me 1 and 2. All the way down. 3. Feel it. 4. And 5. Left hand to your waist, your right hand through your back of your ear, then take it down slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Stretch your glute, your back from that point, and 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Going down to your toes, hamstring and back stretch, facing forward, and 3, 2, 1, and 0. Same position. Put your hands, hold your back, hands at your back, mirror straight this. Then you take them all the way down, facing front, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. Stretch your arms a bit. Give me 5, 4, 3. You hold it and twist it.
This is the
your right
yes,
hand. Yes, slowly raise. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Changing the other side. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. We're going to start with the squats. It's a warm-up workout. Then we do the other workouts as we continue. So I hope, guys, you're ready for this. Feet wide. So this is the demo. We're going down, up, all the way down and up. With your movement of the hands. Okay, ready? We're going 10. Go 1, all the way down. 2. Squatting position. 3, do not tiptoe. 4, give me 5, 6, slowly 7, all the way down. Give me 8. All right, 2 more, 9, The last one, 10. Very nice. All right, we continue. For the second warm-up workout, going to do sides. 3, 2, 1, and go. 1, side stretch, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can take your hand all the way straight down. 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, and the last one, 10. All right, stretching. The other side, give me 10. Ready, 3, 2, 1. Give me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and the last one, 10. Think we are warmed up enough? Is that it, guys? We ready?
Yes.
So we're doing the high intense workouts. Give me the music now. We start with that. So as we wait for that, for our first workout today, we're going to do scissor squats. Scissor squats, we're just going to follow the music. The music gives you the rhythm. Okay, so you scissor and squat. You scissor and squat. Scissor and squat. Okay, so that's a demo. All right, guys, so at home, I hope you get the concept. Let me do it from this position. You scissor and squat. All right, so you're going to do 10 of these, okay? First round in 3, 2, 1. Are we ready now? Go. Scissor squat. 1. 3, 2. Scissor and squat. 3. Let's go. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 2 more, 9, the last one, and 10. All right, that's the first demo. We're going to do like 4 workouts, then we combine them all together as one. So for our next workout, it's like a jumping jack, but we're doing it straight. Okay, so front legs facing forward. Okay, so we're going to do 10 of these too. Are we ready? 3, 2, 1, let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Feeling good? Getting warmed up now. We are doing demos, then we go another round as we go all the way to the top now. So for that workout, we're going to balance. We're balancing our whole body workout. So at that workout, you're going to do some hip hops, but we're going to be moving. Narrow pipe, we go a step, we do a wide, we go back and a narrow, go a bit side and a wide. So we're going to do 10 reps of that. Yeah? You okay? So we start here with the narrow. 5, I count to 5, we move. So we're going to do 2 sets of those. All right, hip hops. Make sure your legs are moving fast as you can, okay? All right, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Move to the side. Give me a wide up. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Go back. And a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Energy, people. Let's go. And 5, 4, 3, 2, and back. All right. So those are 2 sets, 10 of each. All right. So for our last workout, we're going to do half Buffy workouts. We need to work also on our shoulders and core. So half Buffy on the ground. Bring it in and out, in and out. Now, I'll give you the right posture for people at home. Let me do it from this position. In and out, in. So you jump in, jump out. All right. Hope you gotten that. It is easy. You're doing the half part of it, all right? So you're doing 10. We're ready now. All right, all right, all right. Let's go down. Okay, 3, 2, and 1. Go in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Strong. 8. You can do it. 9. The last one. And 10. Oh, wow. Wow, 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 wow. All right. All right, all right. The music gives you the rhythm. It gives you the energy to want to work out. So to our last workout, we can do, we go down, we work on our core. So this is what you're going to do. Squeezing your belly with your elbows. So this is a movement, okay? From this point, you squeeze in, up, squeeze in, up, squeeze in. Core workout. All right. So as we wind up, we're going to do this sort of workout from there. 3, 2, 1, and squeeze it in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You move your waist in and out. 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right. Good, 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 good. So now I want us to do this all the way from the top to the end. The 5 workouts that we started, right? So guys at home, hope you're ready, energetic, you know what you're doing. So from the first workout, we start with the scissor squats. So we're ready? In 3, 2, 1. Give me 10, let's go. 1, 2. Squat with me, let's go. 3, 4, 5. Give me energy. 6. Strong. 7, 8. 2 more. 9. The last one. And 10. Going forward, we go to the hip ups, the side. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Give me hip ups. 5, 4, 3, 2. Move to the side. Give me a wide one. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving side. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last time. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right. We're not wasting time. Going to our next workout. Okay, this one. So we're ready. 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Energy. We're good. Half burpees. Let's go down, people. Hope you're following. 3, 2, 1. Bring it in. 1. Let's go. 2. 3. Strong one. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Strong. 2 more. 9. The last one. 10. All right. Okay. You're feeling all warmed up. Full body workout. Very important. To our last workout. Core workout. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Bring it in. And 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Very nice. We good? Are we sweating it? Not yet? We're not sweating yet. We're not sweating yet. We are doing one more set. Okay? We're doing one more set. 5 of 5 counts each. Because now you know what you're doing. This should be fun. All the way from the top. 5 sets, 5 reps each. Okay, hope you're ready back at home. Okay, ready? 3, 2, 1. Scissors squats, let's go. 1, 2, 3. 2 more, 4. The last one and 5. Right, next. To our hip hops to the side. 3, 2, 1. Give me hip hops. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 to the side and go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The last 12. 1, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Moving side and 5, 4, 3, 2, and done. All right, so our next workout. All right, here we are. Ready? Give me 5 in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, going next. Let's go down. Let's go down, people. In 3, 2, 1. Give me 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. The last one. All right. We're winding up. We're winding up this. Hands up. Let's go. Energy. 3, 2, 1, and go. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right. Wow. Was that intense? Very much, right? Wow. Full body. You feel warmed up. So guys, we're going to another very important session, our core workout. So we're going to use some mats. If you don't have a mat at home, bring those mats. So,
there'll be a lot of sleeping, I hope.
They're not for sleeping. We're going to do a bit of abs workout on these mats and some stretches. Very important. Core workout, sides and back. Need to do a bit and a lot of these if you want to tone up this area of your body. So illustrations will be by our instructor here.
Dan,
my co-instructor Dan, yes, he's going to do a bit
you
of...
have your mic on?
I'll just demonstrate. You'll demonstrate? I'll see what you're doing.
Yeah. All right, okay.
Yeah, right. So guys, if you don't have a mat at home, you can use your carpet. Anything that you're a bit comfortable, somewhere you feel comfortable. Not so, mattress cannot really work, but I know most of you, because you're in a living room, you can use your carpet. It's okay, it's comfortable. So you go down.
Okay.
So we're going to use some Tabata music. I said we're doing Tabata abs workout. So all right. The first one. All right. Follow. Strong guys, let's go. It's full body abs, combined ab workout. Give us the other one. Demo. So for our next demo, I go. Strong people. Work on your core. Very strong. Be strong. Energy. Right. We're going next. Tabata music. 8 workouts in one. After the break, now we go. Strong. Round 3. Nice one. Give me some energy, people. Back at home. Enjoy your quad. You can give me a twist too as you do it. Work on your side.
The butter is finished.
All right. We do something simple. Just tap a bit. Okay? In 3 and go. Tapping slowly. Very nice. Energy. Let's go. Strong. You fold your feet all the way. This is a crunch. Going a crunch. Pause. Now we're going to our fifth one, 6 and 7. All right. Energy. So going next, slowly, lower abs workout. Let's go. Nice. Take it up, take it up, take it up. Slowly, work on your lower abs. Hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. Strong people. Almost done. All right. Nice one. All right. So back workout, side workout, the glutes. 3 more workouts. Okay, follow me. Let's go side. Your arms all the way towards your shoes, your toes. Then crunch. Nice one. All the way up. All the way up. Feel that crunch on this part of your body. Change your side. Change your side. Around 7. Okay. Make sure you're straight and your feet are on top of each other. Your left leg up. Straight. Then squeeze your right all the way. Just lie down slowly. All right. Nice. So we change our legs. We're closing. We change it. Make sure you're hanging your other leg. 5 and 4, 3, 2, and 1. For my people at home, I think I should change my position.
Well, we're closing.
So
Let's close it.
Malizia. Okay?
We'll come with more. 30 minutes later.
All right. So we're changing. We're going to finish this one. Go back down, people.
Let's close it first.
All right.
This one because of time.
All right, because of time.
Great.
Wow, wow, wow. I hope you enjoyed it.
It's a wrap.